voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and other administration officials have briefed congressional leaders on the operation that led to the capture of Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Democrats, like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, are calling for more detail.
Their plan for the U.S. running Venezuela is vague, based on wishful thinking, and unsatisfying.
House Speaker Mike Johnson's take.
The president used his authority under the law. He did so in a way that caused no casualties on the American side and got the job done with exquisite intelligence and extreme precision that can only be done by the U.S.
One of Venezuela's neighbors is keeping a close eye on what happens next. CBS's Lilia Luciano reports from the border with Colombia.
We await to see whether that frail stability in Venezuela that we are seeing at this moment through the negotiations between that government and the Trump administration will hold.
President Trump tells NBC News the U.S. must, in his words, nurse the country back to health before any elections take place in Venezuela. 2,000 ICE agents are ready to deploy to Minneapolis for a crackdown.
CBS News has learned as many as 1,500 more ICE officers will carry out immigration arrests and deportations during a 30-day surge, while 600 of the agency's investigators join the probe into the state's social services fraud scandal. President Trump has blamed the state's large Somali American population.
They've stolen from Minnesota and from the United States.
DU is an organizer with the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee.
It's also really disheartening and really scary to see because we know that families are going to be separated.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Health experts are speaking out after department officials released guidelines on childhood vaccinations. They no longer call for flu, meningitis, or hepatitis A and B shots for all kids. Dr. Jason Goldman is president of the American College of Physicians.
I suspect this is going to have generational impact on the children and health of our country, because we are going to see a resurgence of diseases that we haven't had to deal with.
Thousands of people in Berlin are in the dark. No power, no cell service.
A left-wing extremist group is claiming responsibility for an arson attack on high-voltage cables Saturday, which has left nearly 50,000 homes and businesses without power. Officials say it could be Thursday before the problem's fixed. It's not just a blackout. Many homes have also lost heat and hot water, with the German capital shivering through a deep freeze. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
This is CBS.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored.
It is 6:03, and right now we've got cloudy skies and 49 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. An issue that appeared to die down in St. Charles City is back, and the community wants to make sure people come out tonight to show support to their opposition to Mayor Dan Borgmeyer making any changes to the people who run tourism.
The rally will be outside St. Charles City Hall at 6 o'clock this evening before the council meeting. Amy Robertson is a cast member of the St. Charles Tourism Directed Festival and talked with KMOX. She says changing the city's tourism has many implications. Mayor Dan Borgmeyer wants to revamp the tourism department, something that he floated back in August.
One of the things that is working the best in St. Charles is the festivals that are sort of the specialty or signature festivals that are put together by the CVB and the tourism department. And specifically, there are two individuals who oversee the majority of those events, and removing them will change everything about the festival, in that they're the ones that sort of understand the secret recipe to make it work so very well. And so if we were to lose that leadership, a good number of cast and crew would choose to walk away as well, which in the first season probably would not impact attendance and therefore the merchants as much. But I think as people start to realize that something's not quite the same in subsequent years, it would directly impact the merchants, because we're going to see a decline in the number of people choosing to come to the festivals, specifically for the festivals.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
For the first time since the May 16th tornado, students and staff returned to 3 St. Louis public schools that had been damaged in the storm. Washington Montessori Elementary, Yateman Liddell Middle, and Beaumont Trade School reopened. Washington first grade teacher Lindsay Digger said that the school felt like a safe oasis from the devastation that still surrounds the Fountain Park neighborhood. According to the Post-Dispatch, repairs are described as short-term. Windows, floors, and roofs, along with plumbing, electrical, and HVAC systems. FEMA estimates about $5.5 million of damage to 11 buildings in the district.
If you or someone you know has the sniffles, you're not alone. Flu, COVID, and RSV cases are all on the rise in Illinois.
The state's Department of Public Health dashboard shows flu, COVID-19, and RSV cases are all trending higher, with flu activity leading the way at a very high level for the week ending December 27th, followed by COVID-19 activity at a moderate level and RSV activity at a low level. Nationally, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates there have been at least 7.5 million illnesses, 81,000 hospitalizations, and 3,100 deaths from the flu so far this season. Mai Martinez.
Well, the Trump administration is taking the unprecedented step of dropping the number of vaccines the government recommends for every child.
Many health experts are reacting angrily. Dr. Jason Goldman is president of the American College of Physicians.
I suspect this is going to have generational impact on the children and health of our country, because we are going to see a resurgence of diseases that we haven't had to deal with.
The overhaul is effective immediately, meaning the CDC will now recommend vaccines against 11 diseases, but no longer broadly recommend protection against the flu, rotavirus, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and some forms of meningitis or RSV. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
The St. Louis Fire Department is mourning the loss of one of its own. On Monday, the department announced firefighter Francho O'Neill, a 33-year veteran with the department, died. No other details have been released. This comes just 6 months after another St. Louis firefighter, Lee Krause, suffered a medical emergency on duty and died.
Law enforcement agencies in Illinois will no longer be able to require a waiting period before processing a missing persons report.
Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart pushed for the change after reopening a case with 8 unidentified victims. Dart tells KMOX he was astonished that some families were turned away.
There was quite a few of them where their families were actively looking for them immediately. And in many of the cases, they were told that, you have to wait a while, that, this isn't something that is we're going to look into yet, and he'll come back.
Under the new state law, police have to immediately take a missing persons report and enter it into a law enforcement database. Local agencies also have to keep a case active until the person returns or is located. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
The Business Desk, sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com. No more Schnucks mailers. The grocery chain is ending the practice of sending the printed weekly ads through the mail, although they will still be available at store entrances. Schnucks says more customers are shifting to digital communication, and the weekly ad can be accessed on the Schnucks Rewards app.
We have had some issues already this morning on the roadways. Hopefully it won't impact your ride in, but we will check with Roger and take a look at the forecast coming up next at 6:08.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm, auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter? Right? And the best part? They accept Discover. Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer. Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times. Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants? These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide, based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It's 6:10. Let's go back to Roger Brand, overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, things continue to look better on eastbound Highway 70 coming in from Forestel. The delays are, there's no longer a backup. There's still a slowdown approaching David Holcomb Parkway into Wentzville Parkway, but, 5-10 minutes ago was a jam. So we're looking a lot better there on eastbound Highway 70. So I got all the road work picked up, and I ought to completely thin out pretty shortly. Other than that, interstate-wise, we're good to go on both sides of the river. I don't see any other issues. But the only other problem spot we have is the rescue crash on northbound Highway 67 at Berry Road. That's out in front of St. Francis State Park. 3 vehicles involved, at least 1 person trapped. There are delays through there. It doesn't look like it's a jam, but there's a slowdown of about a mile coming through that area right now on northbound 67. So just be advised if you're normally traveling through that area or headed that way right now. Next update at 6:20 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 6:11 and taking a look at the forecast.
KMOX AccuWeather, times of sun and clouds this morning. Lots of sunshine and delightful this afternoon, the high 60. Tonight will be clear, though 35. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 59. Then periods of rain Thursday, becoming windy and very mild, high 64. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Right now, we've got partly cloudy skies. It's 50 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
It's 6:12, sports in 3 minutes. So many people showed up at Forestel City Hall last night to hear more about 2 proposed data centers. The representatives expected to speak couldn't get into the room. Those who managed to squeeze in were told the presentation was being delayed until January 20th and moved to a bigger venue. City Administrator Todd Stryler told the Post-Dispatch they had no idea they'd have that big of a crowd. 2 out-of-state firms have expressed interest in about 400 acres of land along I-70. The developers have not been named.
An historic warehouse on the North Riverfront is slated for a makeover into affordable housing. Graython Construction of Connecticut is accepting bids for a number of projects from roofing to millwork, masonry, and landscaping. The former Standard Stamping Company warehouse on North Broadway is 5 stories and calls for 181 apartments, according to the Business Journal. Work's expected to begin in March on the almost $66 million project.
Illinois has now set aside $24 million to increase workforce training facilities at downstate community colleges. Brandon Eisen reports.
Available grant funding in partnership with the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Governor J.B. Pritzker said that the state's skilled workforce is part of what makes Illinois a manufacturing powerhouse. $24 million now earmarked to establish 6 new manufacturing training academies, or MTAs, at community colleges in the downstate regions to expand training for high-demand manufacturing jobs in-state. Grantees will be selected through a competitive notice of funding opportunity process. Qualified entities can apply for grants from $3 to $6 million, with applications accepted on the Department of Commerce website through the end of April.
A new autism diagnosis tool could have a big impact on Missouri families. Easter Seals Midwest President Jeannie Marshall says eye gaze technology involves young children looking at a laptop computer which tracks where a child is looking.
It's been proven over and over again in research and in practice that this is solid, and we feel really good about this giving answers to families much sooner than sitting on a wait list.
The technology is FDA approved for children 16 to 30 months. Marshall tells MissouriNet they want approval for older children, too. She says the scan costs $1,000 out of pocket, and it is available in Kansas City and St. Louis.
Scientists are learning more about how pandemics spread. Here's CBS News correspondent Michael George.
Researchers at the Columbia University Mailman School of Public Health looked at the 2009 H1N1 flu pandemic and the COVID-19 pandemic. They found air travel was a major driver of the spread of disease, especially originating from major hubs like New York and Atlanta. They also found wastewater testing could identify pandemics before they rage out of control.
Haskins looks in on Dunlap's tunnel away by Thames.
Look out.
It's showtime. Jam time. Oh, the windmill. Left-handed dunk. Crowd on its feet. Here, give me another one. No.
Are they the best team in the state of Missouri? They're ranked higher than Mizzou at the moment. That is St. Louis University. The Billikens are 13-1. They'll get tested tomorrow night at VCU, an A-10 showdown. Two teams picked by many to win this league. We'll see how it goes down. 6 o'clock tip-off here on KMOX with a 5:45 pregame tomorrow night. Josh Schertz was on the coaches show last night. We'll play some clips of that coming up for you here at 6:45. But the Billikens going up against VCU are going to have to fix their defense. In that 102-79 win over St. Joseph's with that windmill dunk from Kellen Thames, high efficiency on offense and poor defense, according to Coach Schertz. As for the schedule tomorrow, otherwise, there are some great games. Mizzou at Kentucky. That one also tips off at 6 o'clock. Southern Illinois at UIC at 7. Illinois State at Valpo at 7. Tonight on the campus of SIUE, it's Lindenwood in town for a 7:30 tip-off in OVC action. College football in the MVC and in the FCS last night. The national championship went to Montana State, and just in excruciating fashion for Illinois State. They had the game in their hand and lost it. They had a touchdown to go up 34-28, but the extra point was blocked. Miles Sandstead then kicked the extra point in overtime after Montana State tied the game on a 14-yard touchdown pass. Justin Lamson in overtime to Taco Dowler on a 4th and 10. Hunter Parsons had blocked the extra point attempt after Tommy Rittenhouse threw a 10-yard pass to Dylan Lord to give Illinois State its only lead of the game at 34-28 to open overtime. And then Montana State responded in that fashion, got the extra point, and they win it 35-34. They win the FCS championship, their first national championship since 1984. Illinois State has never won it, and they were that close. We'll take a look at the Blues coming up also later this morning. We heard from Jim Montgomery earlier. Yesterday, the Blues signed Alexei Toropchenko to a 2-year contract extension, and they visit the Chicago Blackhawks tomorrow night, scheduled for an 8:30 game in Chicago, and the Blues are currently 3 points out of the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Billikens and the Cardinals, 104.1 FM. KMOX.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it. I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap by the... You can't even go by price. Oh, okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Hi, Margaret with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. Our St. Louis Baseball Cardinals reset last season. Now they're planning for the long term. Have you thought about a long-term plan for your family? A will, a trust, powers of attorney? Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano can guide you with a personalized estate plan. Sign up for our free webinar on our website, YourEstateMatters.com. Learn more about estate planning, get some answers, list your questions, then schedule a consultation. You can plan for your family, your favorite charities, taxes, your long-term care, and even your pets now, before the courts do it for you later. Eamon Gantner and Capriano, yourestateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
What do we have to look forward to weather-wise in the weeks, months, and years to come? We have a long report about a new study from AccuWeather. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, it's time to tell you what's happening on the roadways on your ride in. From the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center, here's Roger Brand.
Well, it looks a lot better, Debbie, out west in Wentzville. In fact, there's just a little slowdown as you get through Wentzville Parkway on eastbound 70 right now, and then briefly at Highway Z, so not much left to be worried about there. That's good news. Overnight road work was just running a few minutes late. They got it all picked up. I'm still seeing delays, a backup. The total delay may be extending for about a mile. It's not all jam, but it's pretty heavy. We had a rescue crash with at least one person trapped, multiple vehicles involved on northbound 67 at Berry Road out in front of St. Francis State Park. So there's still delays there coming out of Jefferson County trying to get on to northbound 55 and head in from there. Once you do get on 55 in the construction zones, Festus, not bad. There's a little slowdown at Bayless. The right lane's a little busy at Mattis as well, but other than that, just a little more traffic there. So no big deal. Otherwise, in the rest of these area highways on both sides of the river, continue to roll. That stalled semi out there, it looks like it's pretty much on the shoulder. Eastbound 44 near Pacific, I'm not seeing any delays past that one. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says times of sun and clouds this morning. Plenty of sunshine, pleasant this afternoon, a high of 60 degrees. Tonight, clear, low 35, but tomorrow we're back up to 59 as the high, mostly sunny and nice, says Joe. Thursday, periods of rain, increasingly windy and balmy, a high of 64 Thursday. Friday, a shower to start, otherwise mostly cloudy, and a high of 58 to wrap up the work week. It's 50 in Florissant, 49 in St. Peter's, a mostly clear sky, 50 downtown at the Arch.
It is 6:22. A new study from AccuWeather warns of a trend of lower humidity and lower rainfall and higher overall temperatures. Megan Lynch spoke with AccuWeather climate expert and senior meteorologist Brett Anderson about what it all means.
Well, first, when we talk about climate, that always brings up a lot of strong feelings. So what can you tell our listeners about the sources that you used for your study?
Well, we looked at our own database, basically an AccuWeather data suite, and we basically looked at 44 officially geographically dispersed weather stations across the entire country. And again, we get a lot of our data from actual observations across these different regions across the country. So it's actual observed data. It's cleaned up a bit to make sure because some of the stations that you get, there's errors, and so you have to clean that up a little bit. But it is all actual data, observed data, not computer generated or anything like that. And so we looked at 44 different regions across the lower 48 states to come up with the answers to this study.
So let's break down each of these things. First off, temperatures. When I looked at kind of the range that you had in this study, it looks pretty similar to other studies I've seen.
Yeah, it's not that surprising. Some of the things that came out of this in terms of temperatures, we've increased about a half a degree Fahrenheit per decade over the past 70 years, a steady increase, biggest increase we've seen certainly over the past 20 years or so. Dew point, which is basically the dew point temperature, is the temperature at which the relative humidity becomes 100% saturated and whatnot. Dew point temperature has increased a little bit per decade over the same period, though most of the increase occurred before 1995. It's been fairly steady after that. However, relative humidity remained fairly steady before 1995 throughout that time period. But after 1995, we noticed a decrease in relative humidity, an average relative humidity across the lower 48 states of about 5.3% during that time period, which is quite significant. So when you decrease the relative humidity, you're going to see most likely less rainfall in many areas, and that's what we're seeing. Average rainfall declined about 2.7% since 1995, or about 1% per decade during that. However, that's total average annual rainfall. The big key here is, though, the frequency of big rainfall events which are greater than 4 inches in a short time period, maybe a day, those increased by 70%. So what we're seeing is less rainfall in general, total over the course of the year, but a big increase in these big rainfall events, these heavy flooding events. We're seeing more of that.
So basically, that could trigger, I'm assuming, more problems when we
Yes.
get a whole lot of rain at once.
Yes, we all like to, we want to see normal. Normal is a good thing, but it's hard to get normal. But what we're seeing with this increase in these heavier rainfall amounts is, it's a lot. It's causing obviously flooding, but in areas that need rainfall, when you get these big rainfall events, yeah, it's a lot of rain and all that, but a lot of it ends up getting washed away. Just because we obviously over the past 50, 60, 70 years or so, we have much more concrete out there. So a lot of this rain just gets run off, unfortunately. Also, heavy rainfall events cause a lot of erosion. It's not good for fields, crop yields. We like to see things spread out very nicely. So that's a big problem there when we get all the rain coming down at once.
How does this change when you look at this? How does this change how you do your modeling for future forecasts?
Yeah. Again, the temperature is a trend. Every model database you look at, temperatures are warming. That's pretty much a given. And obviously, with no change in greenhouse gas emissions, we're going to continue to warm up. That's pretty much well known at this point in time. It's how much are we going to warm up in the future, and that will depend on how much more greenhouse gas emissions we put out into the atmosphere. That's a big deal right there. What's interesting with our study here that we came up here was the decrease in relative humidity since the mid-1990s. And what we looked at was that the mid-1990s, something changed. There was some type of tipping point that we found. With temperature, with rainfall, with humidity. Something changed in the mid-1990s across the world and also the United States that something tipped. And unfortunately, when you reach a tipping point, things start tipping and it's hard to stop. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing an acceleration in temperatures. We're seeing an acceleration of these extreme weather events.
It is 6:27. Time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up. If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
I dared Archwell Health to keep track of my vitals and my grandkids' names.
I dared Archwell Health to simplify my prescriptions, so Max and I have more time to play. Good boy.
And I dared Archwell Health to be closer than my neighborhood coffee shop.
Our members dared us to do more as a primary care provider for adults age 60 and up. So we made it our mission. Visit archwellhealth.com and become a member today. Archwell Health. We dare to care.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Hey guys, Dave Glover here for the Dave Glover Show. So, what is my show? My show is 4 different people living 4 different lives, all coming together every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to talk about life, actual life, not so much headlines or did you see what Trump did today or XYZ. Never predictable because I never know what I'm going to talk about from one segment to the next. So it truly is unique and unpredictable. Join us.
104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 6:30, and right now we've got partly cloudy skies downtown and 50 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. We have Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, just a little heads up if anybody's heading out the door and heading west on 70 to Columbia right now. Westbound 70 is closed. East of Columbia closed before you get to Range Line Road. It's a pretty popular exit point there because of a serious crash. So you may just want to plan accordingly if you're headed that way right now. A little closer in, we've got delays building around the area. If you're on southbound 61 south of Winsville Parkway into 64 through Prospect, it's a little busy. Northbound 270, some slow traffic north of Big Bend to Manchester, and both directions around 64 are a little crowded. Northbound 55, the right lane's a little slow north of Butler Hill, and all lanes from Bayless up through to about Holly Hills are busy. Still seeing that jam northbound 67, approaching Barry Road out in front of St. Francis State Park, where we had an earlier rescue crash. They remain on the scene, and there are restrictions still in place. And westbound 64 just a little busy on the Poplar Street Bridge. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's not bad out there now, and it's going to be pretty nice today with a high of 60 degrees. The clouds will be moving out for plenty of sunshine by this afternoon. Mostly sunny tomorrow and 59, then 64 on Thursday before things start cooling off toward the weekend. It is mostly clear now and 50 degrees.
The mayor was proposing a restructure of the tourism department.
That's Amy Robertson, a cast member of the St. Charles Tourism Directed Festival, and one of many people concerned that St. Charles Mayor Dan Borgmeyer will revamp the tourism department.
Robertson tells KMOX in August, Mayor Borgmeyer was proposing cutting out the people who were overseeing tourism.
It was just very vague. It was very unclear. And there was quite a bit of pushback from the community when the information did come out. And that seems to have been put on hold while the mayor is doing what he's referring to as 90 days of research.
So tonight at 6 o'clock, there will be a rally at St. Charles City Hall prior to the council meeting to let Mayor Borgmeyer and the council know that the community is opposed to making changes to the people who run the St. Charles City Tourism. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Missouri lawmakers could soon debate a tax break for gun safety equipment. Southwest Missouri Representative Stephanie Hine has filed a bill to give gun owners up to $500 a year in tax credits for items like trigger locks and gun safes for vehicles. The proposal will be considered when the legislative session begins tomorrow at the Missouri Capitol.
A new Missouri law is designed to better equip K-12 public schools to respond to a student, worker, or guest who is severely bleeding.
St. Joseph Representative Brenda Shields pursued the law requiring Stop the Bleed kits in schools and instructions to help staff respond to health emergencies.
And I think the Stop the Bleed kits are important to have in our schools and that we have our personnel trained, because the last thing that we want is for someone to feel helpless and they could have helped and that they can't.
The new state law requires kits in high traffic areas and annual training for at least one staff member. Beth Coughlin, KMOX News.
A St. Louis alderman facing nearly $50,000 in fines from the state for allegedly using campaign funds for personal use and failing to report donations. State ethics officials say Brandon Bosley left out expenses from mandatory reporting, including trips to Walmart, a bar, and a liquor store. He was already sentenced to stand trial in federal court this month on charges of insurance fraud and lying to the FBI.
It's 6:34. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your Money Minute next.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today, and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, DRURY law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It is 6:35, and it's time for your Money Report, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Oil stocks jumped yesterday after President Trump pledged to revive the Venezuelan energy sector. Shares of Chevron, which is the only American oil major currently operating in the nation, surged more than 5%. ConocoPhillips and Exxon also rose. The largest oil service companies, including Halliburton, also saw big gains in trading. Energy, along with tech shares, gave a big bump to the market yesterday. The Dow rose 595 points. This morning, it's a little quieter. Stocks are making small moves this Tuesday. Dow futures are down 95 points. S&P futures falling 5. On the radar for investors, the big Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas officially begins today. And Walt Disney's Zootopia 2 has overtaken 2019's Avengers Endgame to become the biggest Hollywood film ever released in China. The animated sequel has grossed about $610 million since its release on November 26th. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
The Missouri Athletic Club celebrating on Friday night. Boy, what a night we're going to have. The Herman Trophy will be handed out to the top men's and women's soccer players in America. It is college soccer's oldest and most prestigious award, the Herman Trophy. Based here in St. Louis, the Herman Family Foundation, the Missouri Athletic Club, they work together to present this award, and this year this award ceremony is going to be bigger and better than ever. We're going to have back the former Herman Trophy winner from Rutgers University, Alexi Lawless, member of the United States men's national team for many years. We're going to have Brad Friedel, the goaltender for that team, the goalie for the United States men's national team, and one of the most accomplished in history. That's what this event is all about, is celebrating some of the greatest in the history of soccer. It etches its legendary recipients into history as the apex of the sport and inspires generations to come. So you're going to see older soccer fans, members of the Soccer Hall of Fame, all the way down to the best young players in the area at the Herman Trophy on Friday night at the Missouri Athletic Club. It's going to be a great night. There are still a few tickets left if you want to go to mac-stl.org.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Hey, St. Louis City SC fans, mark your calendars now. The Boys in Red return to Energizer Park to kick off Season 4 Saturday, February 21st. And you could be there for the dawn of a new golden era of St. Louis soccer. Go to stlcitysc.com/tickets and reserve your seat now for the MLS home opener versus Charlotte FC. Limited quantities remain. See you soon, St. Louis.
This holiday season, when you get them STIHL, batteries are included. Buy select battery tool sets and get a free extra battery. Visit STIHLUSA.com for gift ideas and seasonal savings. Happy holidays from STIHL. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
It's men's Billikens basketball action Wednesday night as they face VCU. Pregame 5:45, tip at 6 on your home for Billikens basketball. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
All right, 6:40 already. It's still pitch black, but sunrise on the way, and probably a lot of people on the roadway are on the way as well. So let's get the latest from Roger Brand, who's in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, it's definitely getting busier out there, Debbie, as you hit the highways on your way into work out west. Southbound 61 is bogging down now at Highway P, running across 70 over onto 64 to Lake St. Louis Boulevard. If you're on northbound 270, a slowdown Sappington to Gravois. It backs up briefly past 44, then it's slow again, Big Bend up to Manchester and Clayton Road up to Ladue after that. Northbound 55 looks good down at Festus. We still have that jam on northbound 67, though, all the way along the line in front of St. Francis State Park. That earlier rescue crash is still out there dealing with it at Berry Road. Northbound 55, once you get into St. Louis County, you've got the usual delays from the Union Road overpass, and it's heavy all the way up past Virginia. And downtown westbound 64, a little bit of a backup as you get onto the Poplar Street Bridge for Illinois drivers. Next update at 6:50 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. I was walking some of our out-of-town friends around the Arch grounds yesterday for January 5th. I wanted to tell them it's like this every year. You know, come on around. It's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful. 60 degrees yesterday. I mean, I'm sure they must have enjoyed it and said, "Man, we could get used to this."
Yeah.
But it's going to change as we go into the weekend. Before we get there, though, the mild weather continues. 60 again today, kind of a mix of sun and clouds this morning. Morphs into a mostly sunny, gorgeous afternoon. Another great afternoon for a walk or any kind of outdoor activity. Tonight will be clear, a little chillier down into the mid-30s. Mostly sunny tomorrow. Another beautiful afternoon with a high 59. The clouds move in tomorrow night, and a storm cutting to our north and west on Thursday will bring us some rain. The wind will pick up, and it'll be very mild. Temperatures up to 64. Behind that system, a little cooler, but still balmy on Friday with clouds and perhaps a shower. Our high 58. Looks like Saturday will turn breezy and cooler as clouds break for some sun. Temperatures only in the mid-40s. Right now, it's incredible. 53 at St. Peter's, 54 at Florissant, partly cloudy, 52 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, thanks, Joe. It is 6:42. What questions should Americans be asking about U.S. actions in Venezuela?
The first question that Daniel Hellinger, Professor Emeritus of International Relations at Webster University, has is, what are the Trump administration's intentions toward countries such as Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico?
If he is serious about starting to undertake military operations in Mexico, it will destabilize the border. It will destabilize the relationship with our closest neighbor.
Hellinger says a wild card inside Venezuela is the opposition leader who challenged now deposed President Nicolas Maduro. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Let's get more now on the reaction from both sides in Congress to the attack on Venezuela. Here's Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson insisting the attack did not break the War Powers Act and said he kept other leaders in Congress informed.
The way that this is being described, I think, is accurate. This is not a regime change. This is a demand for change of behavior by a regime. The interim government is stood up now, and we are hopeful that they will be able to correct their action. They cannot participate with narco-terrorists and very dangerous international criminal organizations that harm and target Americans, frankly, and traffic all of these dangerous drugs into our country, that do all this great harm to our country. They cannot continue that activity. We have a way of persuasion, because their oil exports, as you know, have been ceased, and I think that will bring the country to a new governance in very short order. So we don't expect troops on the ground. We don't expect direct involvement in any other way beyond just coercing the interim government to get that going. Look, I expect that there will be an election called in Venezuela. I mean, some of these things are still being determined, of course. But it should happen in short order, and I think it will need to be so that their economy can remain stabilized and the country can remain stabilized.
And he insisted the attack was legal.
Look, I can tell you, as Speaker of the House, as the person who's in charge of defending Article I powers, I'm just going to insist to you that Those have not been traversed in any way by what happened here. The president used his authority under the law. He did so in a way that caused no casualties on the American side, and got the job done with exquisite intelligence and extreme precision that can only be done by the U.S. That's why we are the world's great and last superpower, and we stand for justice, and you're going to see that meted out here. It's overdue, and everyone will be safer because this has happened.
But Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says he was left confused by a classified briefing given by Trump administration officials.
Well, this briefing, while very extensive and long, posed far more questions than it ever answered. Their plan for the U.S. running Venezuela is vague, based on wishful thinking, and unsatisfying. I did not receive any assurances that we would not try to do the same thing in other countries. And in conclusion, when the United States engages in this kind of regime change and so-called nation building, it always ends up hurting the United States. I left the briefing feeling that it would again.
A briefing for all members of Congress on the Venezuela operation and the plan going ahead is scheduled for Wednesday. It's 6:46. Also Wednesday, just a tremendous basketball schedule, including SLU at VCU, their biggest game to date. An A-10 showdown in Richmond, 6 o'clock tip-off tomorrow, 5:45 pregame. Last night on KMOX, it was our first Billiken Coaches Show, and it was Josh Schertz at Ballpark Village with Bob Ramsey. The Billikens 13-1 on the season.
Every season is filled with unforeseen circumstances. And sometimes unforeseen circumstances are stuff that's really good for you and that really helps your team. And sometimes those unforeseen circumstances are things that are really difficult for you and are things maybe you have to, work through or work around, or maybe you can't work around them. And so I think, what's been probably really cool about this year is that for the most part, it's kind of unfolded the way we hoped. We thought we had really good depth, and we do. We thought we could play, 9 guys on a consistent basis, and we have. We've, I'm knocking on wood, but been healthy.
Yep.
We've had, except for illness, we've had our guys available for games, which is a huge part of, being successful. There's, when you're in sports, you have to be really, really good, and you got to have good fortune. Being really good isn't enough. And so, to this point, it's kind of worked out the way we hoped. I think we thought we would play exceptionally fast. We have. We thought we would be able to press and be just more disruptive defensively. I think we've been one of the better defense in the country. It's kind of an underrated thing. I think we're second or third in the country in field goal percentage defense and top 3 in the country in defensive rebounding.
He wants to tighten things up against VCU tomorrow. Again, a 6 o'clock tip-off against VCU. Mizzou will play at Kentucky at 6 tomorrow. College basketball tonight, it's SIUE at home against Lindenwood. Good game there. They tip off at 7:30. College football last night, just a tough loss for Illinois State. They scored in overtime but had their extra point blocked. Montana State tied the game on a 4th and 10 in overtime and then kicked the extra point to win the FCS National Championship, 35-34. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals and the Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Upgrade your tool storage for the new year with help from Menards. For heavy-duty storage that protects your tools, choose Masterforce. From shelving units to cabinets and so much more, you can keep your tools safe and within reach. Get versatile and durable storage from Masterforce today. Check out all our Masterforce storage in-store or check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Nominations for the 2026 Women of Achievement are now open. The St. Louis Area Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. If you know an outstanding volunteer in the St. Louis metropolitan area, or if you are one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 11th. Head to KMOX.com for more information.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
650 Total Information AM continues. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Tom Ackerman and Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we still have some delays out there. Obviously, still have that crash on northbound 67 at Berry Road in front of St. Francis State Park. Still a jam in the area. That was a rescue crash. A new injury crash eastbound 30 just before New Sugar Creek. A jam building there, but it's maybe midway back to Dillon. It'll probably get a little worse before it gets better. Northbound 55, you got to back up at the Union Road overpass up through Weber's. Slow all the way to Virginia, though. North 270 approaching Tesson Ferry to Gravois. North of 44 to Manchester. Approaching Clayton Road up to Ladue. That's all busy. Southbound 61, Highway P on to 64 at the Boulevard. There's a lot of slow traffic. And downtown westbound 64 is getting heavier west of 3rd Street headed across the Poplar Street Bridge. And don't forget, if you're heading out west to Columbia, Missouri, westbound 70 is closed before you get to Rangeline Road because of a serious crash. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says we'll have more sun and clouds this morning. Plenty of sunshine this afternoon. A high of 60. Clear, low 35 tonight. And then tomorrow, sunny and nice, and a high of 59 degrees. For Thursday, Friday, might see some periods of rain, but otherwise a high around 60. We cool off Saturday, the high only 44 degrees. Currently, it's mostly clear, 49 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 6:52. Health experts are looking for new ways to get people to get their flu vaccines in a season where the virus seems more severe. We get more from CBS's Michael George.
A study published in JAMA found that doctors sending patients reminder texts before a visit led to more people getting their flu vaccine. The CDC says even during an average flu season, the virus can cause hundreds of thousands of hospitalizations and tens of thousands of deaths. And flu vaccines can help reduce the severity of the illness.
The CDC has cut the number of vaccines it recommends for children. It will now recommend vaccines against 11 diseases, but no longer broadly recommended protection against flu, rotavirus, hepatitis A, B, some forms of meningitis, or RSV. CBS Chief Medical Correspondent John LaPook.
Pediatrics calls today's recommendations dangerous and says it can continue to give their own recommendations. Remember that these are federal guidelines, overarching, but it's the states that figure out and determine what the guidelines are on an individual state level. And that can differ from state to state. We did reach out to HHS to say about insurance coverage, will it still be done? They said yes, all 3 categories will still be covered.
More than 2,000 ICE personnel will be deployed to Minneapolis for an immigration and fraud crackdown.
CBS News has learned as many as 1,500 more ICE officers will carry out immigration arrests and deportations during a 30-day surge, while 600 of the agency's investigators join the probe into the state's social services fraud scandal. President Trump has blamed the state's large Somali American population.
They've stolen from Minnesota and from the United States.
DU is an organizer with the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee.
It's also really disheartening and really scary to see because we know that families are going to be separated.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
It's 6:54 here on Total Information AM. Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill are planning a number of events to mark 5 years since the riots that marred the Capitol building after the 2020 election. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott McFarland with more.
Here at the Capitol, it's going to be mostly informal ceremonies to mark 5 years since January 6th.
House Democrats are going to have a public meeting with testimony and cameras, including testimony from witnesses and members of Congress who survived January 6th while hiding in the House chamber. Meanwhile, some of the pardoned January 6th rioters are marching the same march they did 5 years ago from the White House ellipse to the Capitol. They say it'll be peaceful.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday.
It is 6:55 and the birthday shout out sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. How do I get a birthday or anniversary on the air, you may be asking yourself? Well, you email it to totalam@kmox.com. totalam@kmox.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Elsa Nadeo of O'Fallon, Illinois. And happy birthday, Charles Glenn.
This is the best birthday ever.
Okay, we've got the chips, the fancy cheese, the sparkling cider. Oh, and I need to fill up the tank on the way home.
Look at the cart. We haven't even hit midnight yet, and you're already blowing your save money resolution for next year.
I'm not blowing it. I'm being smart. I'm using Upside.
Upside? That cash back app?
Exactly. I just claimed an offer, and just like that, I'm getting cash back on all these groceries. And I'll do the same at the gas station. It's how I earned an extra $250 this year.
Wait, $250?
Yep, that's extra cash I can cash out to my bank or throw onto gift cards to my favorite spots.
Download the free Upside app and start earning cash back now. Use promo code POP10 for a $10 bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code POP10. Make your resolution easy this year. Download the free Upside app today and use promo code POP10 for an extra $10 bonus on your first purchase.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty that the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Working full-time but still falling behind? Learn how real estate education can help you build income and get ahead on your terms. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
This year, it was important for my business to start strong.
Starting weak is not recommended.
But first, I needed a lot of stuff for the office.
Sounds like a shopping spree.
I just went to Staples. They have great prices on everything like ink, toner, printers, paper, and chairs. And now you can get up to 30% off select HP printers.
Up to 30% off HP printers. Am I on a hidden camera show?
No.
Well then, let's go Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. Ins 131, select models only.
Hey, let's go check out traffic. Roger Brand, what's the latest overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center?
Well, Tom, emergency crews are still on the scene with a crash on eastbound Highway 30 before you get to New Sugar Creek, so just be prepared. Traffic's backed up about midway back to Dolores, I guess. It's definitely jammed back through Little Brennan now, so just be prepared on eastbound Highway 30 if you're running in the area. Still seeing delays on northbound 67 out in front of St. Francis State Parkway at a rescue crash at Berry Road, so there's still a bit of a backup there and slow going in general. Northbound 55, once you get on that. Down in Festus, it's not bad. It is typically slow north of the Union Road overpass up through Holly Hills. Northbound 270, a little slow at the 55 merge on. Tesson Ferry up toward Gravois. North of Big Bend all the way up to Ladue is heavy. Southbound 67, south of Wensville Parkway to 64 at the Boulevard, some slow stuff. Eastbound 70, a little slow east of David Hochul into Wentzville Parkway. Eastbound 64 at the Interbelt's a little busy downtown. Westbound 64, you've got some slow traffic in pockets west of 3rd Street getting onto the Poplar Street Bridge. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Tuesday, the 6th of January. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Partly sunny this morning, plenty of sunshine this afternoon with a high about 60.
Could changes be coming to St. Charles City tourism? Several people hope not. I'm Maria Kina. I'll explain.
Flu, COVID, RSV cases all on the rise in Illinois.
And I'm Tom Ackerman.
Skips it out to Finkley for three. That's no good. Rebound. Quentin Jones, 2-1, ball game.
That last possession looked like it was a 2-point game.
Billikens are 13-1. They aren't ranked yet, but it's a matter of time. Big game coming.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Democratic lawmakers are panning a briefing by top Trump administration officials on the U.S. military operation that netted Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
When the United States engages in this kind of regime change and so-called nation building, it always ends up hurting the United States. I left the briefing feeling that it would again.
Republican leaders are defending the Venezuela raid. Correspondent Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill.
Speaker Johnson told me that the situation in Venezuela will be discussed when he and House Republicans meet with President Trump later today. Last night on X, the State Department posted, quote, "This is our hemisphere, and the president will not allow our security to be threatened."
While the fallen dictator is back at a New York City detention center after claiming in court he was kidnapped, there's a new assessment from the CIA on possible replacements. CBS's Olivia Gazis.
The report was said to have found that Maduro loyalists, including Vice President Rodriguez, were likely best positioned to maintain stability in the near term, while opposition leader Marina Corrida Machado could struggle to secure legitimacy. The timing of the assessment remains unclear.
The leaders of France, Britain, Germany, Italy, Poland, and Spain are underlining their support for Denmark as the Trump administration amps up talk over taking over Greenland.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller told CNN the U.S. should control Greenland for the sake of NATO.
For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States.
Hours after the U.S. captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, Miller's wife posted a map of Greenland in red, white, and blue with the caption, "Soon." CNN repeatedly asked Miller if the administration plans to take Greenland by force.
Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Health experts are examining potential financial fallout for parents after the Trump administration announced it's cutting recommendations that all kids be vaccinated against flu, meningitis, and hepatitis. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder.
For now, all of the vaccines remain covered by insurance, but federally funded programs where the vaccines are provided for free, that may change in the longer term.
At the Vatican, Pope Leo has just put an official end to the Catholic Jubilee year on this day of Epiphany by symbolically closing the ornate bronze doors to St. Peter's Basilica. The Vatican says the celebrations drew more than 30 million pilgrims to Rome. This is
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-959-3388. That's 800-959-3388.
It is 7:04, and right now the skies are clear in downtown St. Louis. It's 49 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. An issue that appeared to die down in St. Charles is back, and the community wants to make sure people come out tonight. The group that is holding this rally wants to make sure that people come out tonight to show support to their opposition to Mayor Dan Borgmeyer making any changes to the people who run tourism.
The rally will be outside St. Charles City Hall at 6 o'clock this evening before the council meeting. Amy Robertson is a cast member of the St. Charles Tourism Directed Festival and talked with KMOX. She says changing the city's tourism has many implications. Mayor Dan Borgmeyer wants to revamp the tourism department, something that he floated back in August.
One of the things that is working the best in St. Charles is the festivals that are sort of the specialty or signature festivals that are put together by the CVB and the tourism department. And specifically, there are two individuals who oversee the majority of those events, and removing them will change everything about the festival in that they're the ones that sort of understand the secret recipe to make it work so very well. And so if we were to lose that leadership, a good number of cast and crew would choose to walk away as well, which in the first season probably would not impact attendance and therefore the merchants as much. But I think as people start to realize that something's not quite the same, in subsequent years, it would directly impact the merchants because we're going to see a decline in the number of people choosing to come to the festivals, specifically for the festivals.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
A big turnout at Forestell City Hall last night where the topic of annexation for a data center was scheduled to take place. About 100 people showed up and exceeded the fire code restrictions, so another meeting will be held January 20th at a bigger venue.
Cases of the flu, COVID, and RSV are all on the rise in Illinois.
The state's Department of Public Health dashboard shows for the week ending December 27th, flu activity was at a very high level, while COVID activity was moderate and RSV activity was low, but all three were trending higher. IDPH reports 8.2% of ER visits were due to the flu, and about 30% of hospital admissions for acute respiratory cases were children between the ages of 5 and 17. According to IDPH, only 1 in 5 people in the state got a flu shot, and only 5% got the updated COVID-19 vaccine. Mai Martinez.
A new law in Illinois forces police departments to process missing person cases without delay.
Procedures vary across the country. Some law enforcement agencies take missing person reports right away. Others tell families to wait in case someone comes back on their own. Cook County Sheriff Thomas Dart was the driving force behind the new law that requires officials to act on missing person reports immediately.
At the end of the day, I can't conceive of how we could sit there and say, well, as opposed to getting an early jump on this case, we decided to wait a little bit because we didn't want to have more paperwork and more, entries to undo later on. I mean, that's not a good excuse.
Dart's office reopened the infamous John Wayne Gacy case. Dart tells KMOX he believes the new law could have made a difference for some of Gacy's victims. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
A St. Louis firefighter has died. Last night, the department posted this message on social media. With profound sadness, the St. Louis Fire Department mourns the passing of firefighter Francho O'Neill, an active member of our department with 33 years of dedicated service. Firefighter O'Neill devoted his life to serving others with professionalism and unwavering dedication. His kindness, compassion, and presence touched countless lives within our department and throughout the community he proudly served. The cause of death has not been released. Funeral arrangements are pending.
From the business desk, sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com. The price to get your haircut going up, an unwelcome trend that's got more than hair clippers buzzing. We get more from Austin Johnson in Biloxi.
Tyree Brown is getting a haircut inside Dane's Barbershop, which is $25 a cut.
I get a simple fade. They used to cost me $15 back in the day. Now, most barbershops are charging $45 for a fade.
Cutting his hair is Bo Miller, entering his 30th year.
I've seen prices gradually go up, most notably during COVID.
He says the reason for that can be a combination of increased rent and the evolution of men's haircuts over the years.
It's 7:09, traffic and weather next.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan, along with Dr. Colleen Bosler and Dr. Adam Voss at the Audiology Center. When was the last time you really enjoyed a conversation without straining to hear?
Charlie, so many people think hearing aids just make things louder.
But that's old technology. Today's hearing aids do so much more.
Exactly. With the dual chip technology, our hearing aids actually separate the speech from the background noise.
Which means at a noisy restaurant, you'll hear your friends and family, not the clinking dishes.
And the best part, your brain doesn't have to work overtime trying to fill in the blanks.
So that keeps your mind sharp, your conversations easy, and your relationships stronger.
Because hearing well isn't just about sound, it's about staying connected.
Thanks, Doctor. Call the Audiology Center today to schedule your annual hearing evaluation. Don't miss another moment. Call 636-441-7470 or visit theaudiologycenterstl.com.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is now 7:11. Time for us to check the roadways and the weather. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, if you're traveling in from out west on southbound 61, it's doing better getting on to 64, but 64 is still kind of busy from Prospect into about Lake St. Louis Boulevard. It's a little slow on eastbound 64 at the Interbelt after that. South 170 just kind of busy at the U-Club Tower, so not bad so far there. Southbound 270, south of Olive down through Ladou's busy. North 270, some slow traffic between 55 and Tesson Ferry. Big Bend all the way up to 64 is busy. Northbound 67, still seeing that backup in front of St. Francis State Park from that earlier rescue crash. Northbound 55, Bayless up to River de Pere is slow after that. Eastbound 30 still working that crash into Sugar Creek. Traffic's jammed back through Little Brennan. And downtown westbound 64 west of 3rd Street to the Poplar is also slow. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A mix of sun and clouds this morning, mostly sunny and pleasant this afternoon. Our high today 60. Tonight will be clear, though 35. Mostly sunny tomorrow. Another nice day, high 59. For Thursday, cloudy with periods of rain. It will become increasingly windy and very mild with a high of 64. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we have a partly cloudy sky and 49 degrees downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:12. A messy burglary has temporarily shut down a branch of St. Louis Public Library. Monday night, police say 34-year-old Leroy Laron Eason of Florissant broke into the bar branch on Jefferson at 44, leaving blood and shattered glass in his wake. The bar branch is home to one of 3 Creative Experience digital labs, and Eason was reportedly targeting the expensive equipment, but the library system's public safety department arrived quickly. Eason jumped out the window, hurting himself in the process. It's the second time the bar branch has been broken into. Targeted equipment was all recovered.
Outrage from pediatricians over a new move by the Trump administration to drop the number of vaccines the government recommends for every child from 17 to 11.
I never thought I'd have to say this in my lifetime, but don't listen to the CDC.
Dr. Jason Goldman of the American College of Physicians is among many who believe the move will increase confusion for parents.
The vaccine schedule has always been guidelines and recommendations. Every individual always had a choice if they wanted to listen to their doctor and listen to evidence or science. That was never in question.
He believes the decision will lead to a resurgence in preventable diseases. The new recommendations no longer make vaccines to protect against the flu, rotavirus, Hep A, Hep B, and some forms of meningitis or RSV mandatory for kids. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Missouri families who suspect their child has autism may be able to get a faster diagnosis with a new method. Easter Seals Midwest President Jeannie Marshall says eye gaze technology is proving to be quick and accurate for very young children. She's hoping it'll be approved for older kids soon.
Now there are over 5,000 kids on wait lists in Missouri for diagnostics. Some of those may be duplicate numbers because it's hard to say how many parents are on multiple wait lists. We know for a fact that this is going to help just accelerate families' access to services.
The computer scan tracks a child's looking behavior. Marshall tells MissouriNet the average age that children in Missouri are diagnosed with autism is 5 years old.
A major grocery store chain is warning customers that while they are scanning items, the store is scanning them. CBS News New York reporter Tim McNicholas says Wegmans is starting to collect biometric information in some of its stores.
You've seen facial recognition tools at the airport, but at some supermarkets, like Fairway and now Wegmans, the cameras are often out of sight. Michelle Dahl is the executive director of the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, a nonprofit that fights for consumer privacy.
It's also a civil rights issue. We know that these systems disproportionately misidentify and burden communities that are already targeted by police most often.
Wegmans says it understands concerns about fairness or bias, and facial recognition systems are just one of several investigative tools it uses.
We are getting ready for the showdown tomorrow night, St. Louis University at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth, Richmond, Virginia. These are the two teams considered to be the top of the league right now in the Atlantic 10. The Billikens are playing very well right now, as you've heard over and over on KMOX.
Wants to screen and gets it. Robbie. Oh, little dime drop for Robbie. Down the lane to the hole. Got it. Oh, Pero aplastante. Robbie Avila whistle foul. Count the basket.
Billikens won that game on New Year's Eve, 102-79. But underneath all of that was poor defense, according to Coach Josh Schertz. He sees the high scoring and hears the crowd and appreciation, and he appreciates that. But he also is letting the team know there is work to be done.
As we talk about to our players, competitors' mindset and the audience's mindset. The audience, they don't have to worry about that. They see 102. They see 19 threes. They win, and they should be. They don't have to worry about the intricacies of what's going on. But us and the competitor, just like when you lose, with a fan, the audience, they don't have to see any good. They just see, hey, we lost to Stanford. The game was terrible, and had that shot missed at the end, it would have been great. We but that's okay because that's the audience's mentality. And that's what there should be. I don't know enough about I grew up in New York. I'm a Giants fan, a Yankees fan. I don't know enough about the game to know the intricacies of what they're doing. I know if we win, we lose, and in the basics. And the same thing for other fans. So it's not a negative. It just is what it is. But you can't, as a competitor, have that mentality and then do what you need to do.
I want to go back to the offense in a minute. But first, I want to talk about defense. I always thought, and go ahead and beat me down if I'm wrong about this, but at given equal levels of athleticism, anybody can defend.
Correct. I agree with that.
It's all about technique and desire. I can have the desire, you teach me the technique, and we can defend, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that should always be consistent.
Yeah, it is. And there's a tendency when you're as good offensively as we are to maybe, not hold the rope that hard on that end and say, well, okay, we gave up this, but we're going to come back and do this. And man, is that a slippery slope to get on? I think, defense is something where a lot of defense is what we call the invisible plays. And there's a lot of invisible plays in basketball that drive winning. And by invisible, there are things that don't get box score validation. So nobody's like, man, you did an unbelievable job in transition defense, picking up the ball and plugging, or you canceled so many ball screens, or gosh, your pick and roll coverage was tremendous. Your protection was great.
These are things that Schertz will be looking for in the game tomorrow night at VCU, the Billikens' biggest challenge to date. SLU is 13-1 on the season. It'll be a 6:00 tip-off, 5:45 pregame. Also tomorrow on the schedule, Mizzou at Kentucky. Tonight, it's SIUE at home against Lindenwood. They tip off at 7:30. College football last night, a tough loss for Illinois State in the FCS National Championship. Montana State blocks an extra point, then scores on a fourth down, kicks an extra point to win at 35-34 in Nashville. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Billikens, 104.1 FM KMOX.
This new year, get started on your next success with University of Maryland Global Campus. Apply by February 11th and get your application fee waived. An accredited state university, UMGC offers online and hybrid classes, along with more than 135 degrees and certificates in fields like business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. Gain the skills you need to achieve your career goals. Get your application fee waived through February 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-959-3388. That's 800-959-3388.
Neil Forever performs Neil Diamond live in concert at the Factory in Chesterfield on Friday, January 9th.
It's fantastic.
Friday, January 9th, Neil Forever performing all the hits of Neil Diamond at the Factory.
He is a great performer.
He's amazing.
Sounds just like Neil.
Grab and roll to get on board. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 7:20, time to take a look at traffic and weather. It's a windy morning. I can see the Missouri flag flapping in the breeze across the street at Soldiers Memorial. But it's going to be nice today, temperature-wise anyway. Let's see if the roadways are nice right now. Roger Brand's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they're getting busier, Debbie, but beyond that, some good news. I'll just let you know that they do have one lane open now, westbound 70 before Rangeline Road. If you are headed into Columbia, the interstate westbound was closed for a good chunk of the morning, but they do have the left lane getting through there now. There's still quite a jam, but at least traffic is beginning to move in the area. Northbound 55 at 67 is a little busy. Bayless up to River to Paris, slow. North 270, Tessa and Ferry through Gravois, 44 up to Ladue. That's heavy the whole way through. Southbound 61 crossing over on 64 to Lake St. Louis Boulevard, slow. Brief slowdown at the Interbelt. Westbound 64, Bellevue to Hanley. It's kind of busy. Still working this crash, eastbound 30 at New Sugar Creek. The left lane, I believe, was closed there. Traffic's jammed pretty close to Dillon Road now, so be careful as you come around the bend. You're going to hit that jam. And downtown westbound 64, west of 3rd Street to the Poplar is still slow. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says we're going to have plenty of sunshine this afternoon with a high of 60 degrees. Tonight, clear, low 35. Tomorrow, sunny and nice with a high of 59. Thursday, Friday, chances of rain here and there, but otherwise pretty mild with a high around 60 degrees again. Currently, it's cloudy, 49 downtown at the Arch.
Nobody else could coordinate this. Nobody else could do it. Nobody has the capability. It's also, interestingly, sort of exposed some of the weaknesses in the Chinese and Russian equipment that was on the ground there.
Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt praising President Trump and U.S. military action extracting Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro over the weekend. He tells Fox News the American people are safer because of it.
This was a very exquisite and specific limited action here, and the people of Venezuela will ultimately benefit, along with, most importantly, the American people and our interests in the Western Hemisphere.
Schmidt says there's a big difference in tough talk and actually taking action. The senator made no mention of what America's role will be in running Venezuela, as President Trump said will happen.
An Illinois history expert says this weekend's capture of then Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro will not only reshape Latin America, but the U.S. as well. Professor of history at the University of Illinois, Jerry Davila, said his eyes are on Venezuela's military and oil operations moving forward.
What happened this weekend creates a very hard to predict road ahead in terms of how those powerful groups will compete with each other, cooperate with each other, and how people in Venezuela and its exile community fit into how that unfolds.
He continues to say there's no shortage of uncertainty moving forward, both in how Venezuela will respond and what that means for the U.S.
The arrest of Maduro has sent oil stocks higher. The Dow hit a record high of almost 49,000. Oil prices have also gone up. CBS's Jill Schlesinger on what that might mean at the pump.
I think that for right now, what's moving price at the pump is the global economy. And if you look at last year, because the global economy slowed down, crude oil went down by over 22%. That led to lower gas prices. Gas prices are actually 25 cents a gallon cheaper today than they were a year ago. That's going to be the more important thing. What Americans can expect is the global economy will dominate.
This week marks 1 year since the Palisades and Eaton fires tore through communities across LA County. While people lost homes, still trying to rebuild and recover, fire officials are working to make sure LA County never experiences this type of loss again. Correspondent Steve Gregory was able to bring together the chiefs of 4 fire departments to talk about lessons learned, setting the record straight.
Coordinating the schedules of the heads of the LA City and County Fire Departments, CAL FIRE, and the Angeles National Forest was no easy task. This is the first time since the fires last year the chiefs have gathered at once to talk on the record about their experiences. LA City Fire Chief Jamie Moore says while he wasn't in charge on January 7th, he'll take responsibility for implementing any changes, discipline, or accountability.
There's been a lot of misinformation in regards to text messages that were allegedly sent on the fire ground of the Lockman fire.
Officials say the Lockman fire ignited the Palisades fire.
That fire is being investigated by the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They do have a person in custody for that fire. Because of these allegations, the ATF has subpoenaed cell phone records, text message records from members of the Los Angeles Fire Department. When I first became fire chief, when I was first appointed fire chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, I came out and made the statement that I've yet to see those text messages. And I have still yet to see those text messages. And the only reason I said that is because to me, it would really help me to understand the situation and better understand the situation as to why firefighters would have text messaged something is critical. Such critical information is the fire's not out. Why are we picking up the hose and why are we leaving? And the reason why is because I would want to hold whoever was responsible for making the decision, having been given that information, accountable for making such a decision. I have also said since the very beginning, not having seen those text messages, I have to treat them as if they really did happen. And I have to be concerned about that.
Moore says the whole text message scandal forced the creation of a new mop-up policy, including hiring a special line crew. LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney says he too wants to clear up some misinformation about the Eaton fire in Altadena.
Neither myself nor any of the unified incident commanders gave any stand-down orders to let homes burn.
Maroney says when fighting wildfires, they have 3 primary functions:
to do perimeter control, structure defense, and to rescue people who can't get out of harm's way, who can't self-evacuate. Law enforcement has the responsibility for evacuations. That's codified in the penal code. But the fire department assists in rescuing people who can't get out of harm's way.
All the chiefs do agree that one of the frustrating parts of fighting wildfires in the early stages is having to give up firefighters to help with evacuations and rescues, which reduces the number of firefighters to help with the initial fire attack.
It is now 7:27. The time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
How many of you think taxes will go up in the future? And if they do, who will get hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA for years, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Thursday, January 22nd or Tuesday, the 27th. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents nor representatives may offer tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with their qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Well, it's 2026. Wishing everybody a better year than last year. Wishing everybody succeed on their resolutions. Really hope somebody succeeds on the resolution. Ignore that. I don't want to be a Bertie Downer. I thought I'd save all the Debbies out there. But anyway, it's still cold. Still need heat. If your system breaks, remember, look me up. You saved me on your phone. If you haven't saved me on the phone, save it under Bart. If you forget my name and number, here it is. Bart Inman. The number, it's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The only number at Missouri and Illinois is 314-293-2600. That's 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless. And Happy New Year.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
It is 7:30, and right now in downtown St. Louis, it's mostly clear, 49 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Let's check on any issues out there on the roads. Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, we have a backup right now on westbound Highway 270. It looks like we have a crash or a stall right before you get to Route 3, just past 203. It's jammed west of 255 through that area. It's still slow to Route 3, but it looks like there's something blocking. I just can't tell what it is, but just be prepared. There is a significant backup building there. Southbound 61, Wentzville Parkway into 64 to the Boulevard. That's slow. Slow traffic, Chesterfield Parkway west to about Timberlake, and then briefly at the Interbelt. Westbound 64, Hampton, headed to Hanley, slower. South 270 approaching Olive down to Ladue, slow. North 270, 55 to Gravois, 44 up to Ladue. That's still pretty busy. Eastbound 30, we have a jam approaching Dillon now up to that crash. It was in the, I believe it's the left lane just before New Sugar Creek. Saw a jam slowly getting longer. Northbound 55 delays midway up from 61 into 67. It's heavy. It's backed up pretty solidly from the Union Road overpass up through Weber. Northbound Telegraph, north of Herb, headed up through Pottle. Looks like a lot of volume there. And downtown westbound 64 is busier as well. We're looking at delays from near 25th Street now, just slow going across the Poplar. Next update is 740 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today, we're starting out with a few clouds in the region, but we'll have plenty of sunshine by this afternoon and a high of 60 degrees, mostly sunny, 59 tomorrow, 64 by Thursday with the possibility of some rain. It's 48 degrees with cloudy skies right now.
A few headlines. Deposed Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro has declared himself innocent and a decent man as he's pleading not guilty to federal drug trafficking charges. It's the 5th anniversary of the January 6th attack on the Capitol. The AP is reporting the official plaque honoring the police who defended democracy is nowhere to be found. It's not on display at the Capitol, as is required by law. Its whereabouts are not publicly known, though it's believed to be in storage. ICE plans to send more than 2,000 officers and agents to Minnesota. The officers will focus on arresting undocumented immigrants.
There's a rally tonight at 6 before the St. Charles City Council meeting. It's called a tourism rally. Amy Robertson is a cast member of the St. Charles Tourism Directed Festival.
It's not just cast and crew, or it's not just merchants on Main Street, but it's the community at large that has concerns about potentially changing what is working so incredibly well. That is literally, sort of the crown jewel of what St. Charles tourism has to offer.
Robertson says this rally is to express concerns to the city council and Mayor Dan Borgmeyer, who recommended back in August a restructuring of the tourism department. Robertson says this would cut out the people who are overseeing tourism. The rally's outside St. Charles City Hall starting at 6 tonight.
So many people showed up at Forestel City Hall last night to hear more about 2 proposed data centers. The representatives expected to speak couldn't get into the room. Those who managed to squeeze in were told the presentation was being delayed until January 20th and moved to a bigger venue. City Administrator Todd Stryler told the Post-Dispatch they had no idea they'd have that big of a crowd. 2 out-of-state firms have expressed interest in about 400 acres of land along I-70. The developers have not been named.
No more Schnucks mailers. The grocery chain is ending the practice of sending the printed weekly ads through the mail, although they will still be available at store entrances. Schnucks says more customers are shifting to digital communication, and the weekly ad can be accessed on the Schnucks Reward app.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. We'll check your Money Minute next at 7:34.
For 100 years, KMOX has been the voice of St. Louis, informing, entertaining, and connecting our community. Now, relive a century of service at KMOX100.com, a website that allows you to explore classic KMOX audio, rare photos and video, and the legendary voices that shaped St. Louis. Every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat lives on at KMOX100.com.
St. Louis City SC is teaming up again with Enterprise to salute the people who make our city shine bright. The Exceptional Neighbor program presented by Enterprise is back, and now you can help us find the class of 2026. Nominate your friend, coworker, or anyone who's going above and beyond for the STL region, and they could be featured on the pitch during halftime. Go to stlcitysc.com/exceptional neighbor now through January 9th and tell us who you think deserves to be an exceptional neighbor. Presented by Enterprise.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It is 7:36, time for your money report, which is sponsored by Busey Bank.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Copper is continuing its record-breaking rally, the metal bursting through $13,000 a ton for the first time. Expectations that the Trump administration may introduce a tariff on copper have drawn huge volumes of inventory into the U.S., which could potentially leave the rest of the world short. Miners are also struggling to boost output. Checking on your money, yesterday's rally for stocks stalling this morning. S&P futures are set to open little changed. Investors are looking ahead to the December jobs report this Friday. And the Transportation Department wants to relax ways it holds airlines accountable for violating consumer protection laws. The government is proposing changes that would include first issuing warnings to the airlines before pursuing actions that could result in penalties. The Trump administration has already abandoned a plan that would require airlines to compensate passengers affected by significant flight disruptions. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
This is the take care of my family goal. This is the enjoy the life I've built goal. This is the set up a foundation goal. This is Busey, where your goals become lasting legacies. Through bespoke plans that maximize your wealth, through partnerships that give you peace of mind. Because building wealth, tending to it, and passing it down secures a brighter future. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Experience a celebration of movement and music as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis Dance Theater join together for Stravinsky and Debussy Music and Motion. This adventurous collaboration reimagines Stravinsky's Pulcinella Suite in an entirely new way that celebrates powerful partnerships between dance and music. January 10th and 11th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I dared Archwell Health to keep track of my vitals and my grandkids' names.
I dared Archwell Health to simplify my prescriptions, so Max and I have more time to play. Good boy.
And I dared Archwell Health to be closer than my neighborhood coffee shop.
Our members dared us to do more as a primary care provider for adults age 60 and up. So we made it our mission. Visit archwellhealth.com and become a member today. Archwell Health. We dare to care.
It's men's Pelicans basketball action Wednesday night as they face VCU. Pregame 5:45, tip at 6 on your home for Pelicans basketball. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Nice day today. Enjoy. It's 7:40. Roger Brand is in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they cleared a couple crashes, Tom. They've reopened all lanes of westbound 70 out there east of Columbia, so traffic should be improving through the area. Not yet, but shortly. There's still backed up traffic, but it's getting better. It's also getting better on eastbound 30. They cleared the crash just before New Sugar Creek. All lanes open, although the jam still goes back to Dillon Road. It opens up a little bit on the front end, so that may take a little longer to clear out completely. Northbound 55 jammed as you ramp onto North 270, and then once you get on 270, it's just generally slow all the way up to Ladue. South 270 approaching Olive down to Ladue. That's busy. Northbound 55, Union Road overpass up to Weber's bumper to bumper. Then it starts picking up the pace. Southbound 61, south of Wentworth Parkway onto 64 at the Boulevard is busy from Hot Boone's Crossing through Clarkson's heavy, and then McKnight through Hanley. South 170 delays closer to Ladue. Westbound 64 approaching Hampton to Hanley. That's heavy. Eastbound 70, a little slow down east of the Blanchard into our city. After that, it's not bad. Downtown westbound 5570 from Exchange onto 64 to the Poplar Street Bridge, heavy pockets. And we still have this jam on westbound 270. It's jammed west of 255. We have a crash midway between 203 and Route 3 with lane blockage, and so that jam is slowly getting worse coming out of Madison County. Next update at 7:50 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
7:41. Let's check in with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg. I don't think this is typical January weather, is it?
Hardly, no. Normal highs would be about 40 degrees, Debbie. Normal lows in the mid-20s. We're going to be well above those for the next 4 days, starting with today. Kind of a mix of sun and clouds this morning, but I think that those high clouds will melt away and we'll get sunny for the afternoon. If you got an opportunity to take a long lunch or get out of work a little early, take full advantage of it. It is really going to be nice at 60. Clear skies tonight, a little chillier down into the mid-30s. Sunny tomorrow, another gorgeous afternoon with a high in the upper 50s to almost 60. Now, it does get cloudy Thursday, but windy and milder with rain and a high of 64. I think most of the rain exits on Friday. Could be a leftover shower early, mostly cloudy. It's still pretty mild at 58, and then breezy and cooler to start the weekend as clouds give way to some sun in the wake of a cold front. Saturday's high mid-40s. 50 at St. Peter's, 52 in Florissant, partly cloudy, 51 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Joe, thanks very much, and especially for that fantastic forecast. It's 7:42. Sports coming up in just 3 minutes. Deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife both pled not guilty in a Manhattan court to multiple charges, including drug trafficking. CBS News chief correspondent Matt Gutman has more on the prosecution of the Maduros.
As arraignments go, this was pretty dramatic, actually.
CBS News legal analyst Caroline Polisi says that risky raid to snatch and grab Maduro early Saturday morning could complicate the government's case. How difficult of a case do you think this will be to prosecute?
It will be difficult to prosecute in the beginning, most likely because there will be this slew of motions made regarding the legality of how it came to be that we extracted Maduro and his wife from Venezuela. Those motions will have to play out, but likely they won't be the end of this case.
Maduro and his wife both pleaded not guilty. Their lawyers said that they're currently not seeking bail, meaning the pair will remain at the Brooklyn Detention Center until their next court appearance.
Feeling downbeat about democracy? You're not alone.
I'm Vicki Barker at the Foreign Desk. An international poll finds widespread dissatisfaction with government and pessimism about the future. Consultants FGS Global surveyed voters in 27 countries, including the U.S. and Europe. More than 2/3 said their political system is failing people. About half believed public institutions are mostly wasteful, ineffective, and badly run. And 73% believe life will be even harder for the next generation. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
House Democrats are holding an informal hearing to commemorate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffrey says Democrats plan to honor police officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th in a hearing Tuesday. The three-panel session will include testimony from law enforcement and others who were at the Capitol 5 years ago. Jeffrey said it will examine ongoing threats to free and fair elections and outline the public safety threats posed by those who were pardoned by the president. Mississippi Congressman Benny Thompson, who chaired the January 6th Select Committee, will oversee the proceedings. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
At the Vatican today, Pope Leo closing the Vatican's 2025 Holy Year by symbolically closing the Holy Door of St. Peter's Basilica. That ends a jubilee that was historic in that it was opened by one Pope, Francis, and closed by his successor, Leo. The Pope today urging Christians worldwide to help those in need and treat foreigners with kindness.
It's 7:45. We welcome in the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. A number of people throughout the region making their way in for this enormous event, getting set up for the U.S. team for the Olympics. We're going to find out who makes the Olympic team. The U.S. Figure Skating Championships, internationally known, and St. Louis will be hosting in two locations. Centene Community Ice Center, which has been buzzing here recently, and Enterprise Center, which will have its first major event tomorrow night. Here is Blues coach Jim Montgomery. He's been wrapped up in it as well.
I've always enjoyed watching figure skating, whether it's the dance, the pairs, or, the singles. Just the artistry they make skating look and the stuff they do in the air is captivating. And I was talking to them about, how they practice. And then I also the juniors are skating over on the other rink. I said, I'd have them take a twirl out there because it's a little softer on that side. And I think it matters to them more than it does us hockey players.
There's Jim Montgomery, the Blues coach. His team is practicing as well, getting ready for a Wednesday night contest at Chicago. Alexei Toropchenko recently a 2-year extension.
Well, it's, you're always happy when a guy gets rewarded. And we keep a nucleus guy. To me, Torpo has earned everything he's got, and he came in. I don't know if he was a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick. I don't know that part. But I know he wasn't a 1st-round pick. And, he came here, and I remember Costin was ahead of him. And he surpassed him because of his work ethic, and he had the ability to penalty kill, and he wanted to do that. He had the ability to forecheck and hound. And you see his game continue to grow. And again, I always say he's the kind of guy, he might only score 7 or 11 goals in the regular season. But when you get in the playoffs, guys like him, like last year, their line scored more than our other 3 lines did 5-on-5 because you win with those guys. You need to have skill to get into the playoffs. You need guys like Torpo to win in the playoffs. And because of his penalty killing and his length and his speed, he helps you win every night in the regular season too.
Blues are 3 points out of a playoff spot in the Western Conference. They visit the Blackhawks tomorrow. 8:30 is the scheduled time, but puck drop will probably be closer to 9 o'clock because it's on national TV from the United Center on TNT. Tomorrow night on KMOX, it's a 6 o'clock tip for SLU and VCU. 5:45 pregame in a marquee matchup in the Atlantic 10. In the SEC tomorrow night, Mizzou visits Kentucky at 6 o'clock. In the OVC tonight in Edwardsville, SIUE hosts Lindenwood. That one tips off at 7:30. Last night, the FCS National Championship, Illinois State in overtime scores a touchdown, has the extra point blocked. Montana State takes it down to a 4th and 10 and scores a touchdown and kicks the extra point and beats Illinois State 35-34. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals and the Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live. It's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News and World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour and complimentary lunch, or to learn more about our upcoming App University that can help enhance your everyday life. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
Winterfest is back for the 10th year in Keener Plaza, now through January 11th. Enjoy Winterfest traditions, including ice skating, s'mores, and igloos underneath 100,000 twinkling lights in the shadow of the Gateway Arch. Grab a bite or drink from downtown favorites and enjoy a family-friendly New Year's Eve fireworks spectacular. Winterfest, hosted by Gateway Arch Park Foundation, presented by Bank of America and Worldwide Technology. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
For residential and commercial heating repairs, service, maintenance, or installation, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. With over 50 years of HVAC service, get in your comfort zone this winter. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
It's 7:50. Let's check in with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we've still got this jam on westbound 270. It's jammed from basically 255 to a point midway between 203 and Route 3 where we had a crash. So there's still lane blockage there, obviously, because the jam is not improving at all. Looks like we have a problem westbound 70 just past Jennings Station, an incident there. It's jammed back through to about Riverview. Eastbound 70, a little slow at TR Hughes. There's heavier traffic 5th Street into about our city. Eastbound 64 coming through Prospect, sort of slow east of Boone's Crossing through Clarkson, from Lindbergh through the Interbelt. Westbound 64 backs up Science Center to Clayton Skinker, then slow all the way to Hanley, and Clayton Warson to Ballas is kind of crowded. South 270, Dorset down to Ladue is busy now. North 270 still north of 55 all the way to Ladue, pretty heavy. Northbound 55 backed up Union Road through Weber, but slow all the way to Virginia. On the Illinois side, downtown, westbound 70 has delays from Packers Avenue across the Muso Veterans Bridge, and 5570 at Exchange onto 64, still slow all the way across the Poplar. Route 3 northbound is backed up almost to Monsanto as well. And westbound 5570 is past Route 40. I'm seeing a little bit of a delay. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather looks good today, Roger. We're looking at sun and a high of 60 this afternoon. Tonight, clear low 35 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny and nice, says Joe Lundberg, with a high of 59. Thursday, Friday, periods of rain here and there, but otherwise a high around 60 degrees. Currently, it's clearing up in downtown St. Louis. Looks nice out there, 50 degrees.
The news continues at 7:52. Missouri lawmakers could soon debate a tax break for gun safety equipment.
Representative Stephanie Hine of Springfield has pre-filed a bill offering tax credits of up to $500 a year for gun owners who purchase safety items like trigger locks or gun safes for vehicles. Supporters say the measure encourages responsible gun storage. Lawmakers return to Jefferson City next Wednesday to begin the 2026 session, where the bill will be up for discussion. Matt Pilger, Missouri Net.
Illinois has secured its first civil hate crime ruling under expanded state law, stemming from a case in Carroll County. Sarah Herrera reports.
A judge found the pair responsible for a months-long pattern of harassment targeting their black neighbor. Court records describe racist displays and symbols placed in direct view of the victim's home, escalating over time. The conduct was ruled a violation of Illinois' Hate Crime Act, resulting in civil penalties and damages totaling more than $90,000. The case was filed by the Illinois Attorney General's office and is the first civil hate crime lawsuit brought under expanded state law.
The University City Big Bend Metrolink station will reopen to service today, 1 week ahead of schedule. The station has been temporarily closed since mid-December for the installation of new infrastructure and upgrades through the Secure Platform Plan. It enhances customer safety and improves the passenger experience on Metrolink with new security gates, fencing, and real-time surveillance cameras.
Big tech companies will be showing off in Vegas. CBS News correspondent Jesse Mitchell with a preview of the CES.
Hyundai-owned Boston Dynamics and LG showed off their latest humanoid robots. NVIDIA also brought out its new tiny robots as its CEO played up the company's next-generation chips and announced that its AI technology is taking on autonomous driving systems.
And the news continues here on KMOX. Anti-theft technology in cars starting to pay off.
A Ford product to prevent vehicle theft is having an impact. Ford debuted stolen vehicle services on its pickups. Now it's moving to other vehicles. It can notify you if your vehicle is stolen, let you track it. It even has something called Start Inhibit that lets you temporarily prevent the vehicle from even starting.
We know that's reducing the level of risk that our customers have. And our call centers are experiencing an increasing, volume of calls and interaction with law enforcement.
Now, Ford Secure General Manager Christian Moran says they will also work with you if your vehicle is stolen.
They will actually work with law enforcement to file a police report. And then once the police report is filed, we'll work directly with law enforcement on the tracking and the recovery of the vehicle.
Many cities have reported a decline in vehicle theft. Some of that is due to new technology. I'm Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
If you're stuck in traffic, Roger Brand has the answers. His report is next at 7:55.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan, along with Dr. Colleen Bosler and Dr. Adam Voss at the Audiology Center. When was the last time you really enjoyed a conversation without straining to hear?
Charlie, so many people think hearing aids just make things louder.
But that's old technology. Today's hearing aids do so much more.
Exactly. With the dual chip technology, our hearing aids actually separate the speech from the background noise.
Which means at a noisy restaurant, you'll hear your friends and family, not the clinking dishes.
And the best part, your brain doesn't have to work overtime trying to fill in the blanks.
So that keeps your mind sharp, your conversations easy, and your relationships stronger.
Because hearing well isn't just about sound, it's about staying connected.
Thanks, Doctor. Call the Audiology Center today to schedule your annual hearing evaluation. Don't miss another moment. Call 636-441-7470 or visit theaudiologycenterstl.com.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. Protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Want to build income without a second job? Learn how real estate investing can help you create extra income one step at a time with Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
For 100 years, you have welcomed KMOX into your cars, your kitchens, and your daily routines.
You've trusted us through breaking news, championship celebrations, and stories that shaped our city.
You've listened during moments of joy and leaned on us when times were uncertain.
From overnight shifts to early mornings, from one generation to the next, you've made KMOX part of your life.
From everyone at KMOX, thank you, St. Louis, for 100 unforgettable years.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
And thanks to Roger Brand for keeping us informed about what's happening on the roadways from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we still have the jam on westbound 270 from 255 through 203. We had a crash west of there, so it's still a pretty solid bumper to bumper the whole way through. They cleared that. It was a stall that was westbound 70 through Jennings Station. It's still slow. Riverview out toward that area, almost to Lucas Hunt. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, there's some heavy traffic east of K to TR Hughes, and 5th Street into our city's kind of slow. Eastbound 64, Prospect toward Lake St. Louis Boulevard's heavy, a little slowdown through the Chesterfield Parkway. Spady into Big Bend is crowded. South 170, south of Olive is 64, slow. Westbound 64, Kings Highway to Hanley's heavy. South 270 approaching 364 to Ladue. North 270 backed up from Tesson Ferry to 44, where they cleared a recent crash, and then north of there to Ladue, still a lot of congestion. Northbound 55, Union Road up past River to Pear. Westbound 5570 Exchange across the Poplars heavy. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A mix of sun and clouds this morning. Sunny and pleasant this afternoon with a high near 60.
I'm Debbie Monterrey. Has sports betting been a big draw? Its first month in Missouri. Megan Lynch talks to the head of the Missouri Gaming Commission.
I'm Tom Ackerman. Reports of flu-like illness were up over the holidays. We will get an update.
A new study from AccuWeather says we've reached a tipping point in our climate.
Today's sometimes called Divorce Day. You will find out why.
Mixed response from Congress following a Trump administration briefing on the operation to seize Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro.
Plus, it's been 5 years since the January 6th Capitol attack. Megan Lynch follows us with Total Information AM. I'll be back with Bernie and Chris on the Gas House Gang at noon.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. We begin with Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, who's speaking out about yesterday's censure by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over a November video featuring the former Navy pilot and other Democrats reminding military members they have the right to refuse illegal orders from the Trump administration. Kelly tells CBS Mornings,
let me tell you what this is about. This is pretty simple. This is about stifling people's speech.
He calls the move outrageous and un-American. CBS News national security consultant Jeff McCausland.
Kelly has said that he will fight this, every step of the way, and I'm sure will seek significant legal counsel, beginning with whether or not this is even legal to be done, as well as attacking the merits of the accusations in terms of he did something criminal.
Response mixed after top Trump administration officials briefed congressional leaders on the U.S. operation that led to the arrest of Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
The president used his authority under the law. He did so in a way that caused no casualties on the American side and got the job done with exquisite intelligence and extreme precision that can only be done by the U.S.
Today marks 5 years since the riot at the Capitol. Correspondent Scott McFarland.
With Congress under Republican control, there are no public ceremonies or memorials on the House or Senate floor or in the rotunda honoring the 140-plus police officers injured January 6, 2021. House Democrats are having a public meeting with testimony from some of the witnesses and some of the victims of January 6th. Meanwhile, some of the pardoned rioters are marching to the Capitol midday. They say it'll be a peaceful memorial march.
Police in Ohio are hoping surveillance video will help lead them to a suspect in the murders of a dentist and his wife. CBS's Tom Hansen.
In the footage released by Columbus police, you can see an individual walking in the alley near the couple's home between the hours of 2 and 5 a.m. on December 30th. That's when police believe they were killed.
The couple's 1- and 4-year-old children were home at the time. They were not injured. It's all about the bots as the Consumer Electronics Show opens in Las Vegas today. CBS's Jesse Mitchell takes a peek.
Hyundai-owned Boston Dynamics and LG showed off their latest humanoid robots. NVIDIA also brought out its new tiny robots as its CEO played up the company's next-generation chips and announced that its AI technology is taking on autonomous driving systems.
Dow futures are down 32 after yesterday's big gains. S&P futures up 1, NAS futures ahead 38. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored.
At
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 50 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Tuesday, January 6th. I'm Megan Lynch. An issue that appeared to die down in St. Charles City is back, and the community wants to make sure people come out tonight to show support to their opposition to Mayor Dan Borgmeyer making any changes to the people who run tourism.
The rally will be outside St. Charles City Hall at 6 o'clock this evening before the council meeting. Amy Robertson is a cast member of the St. Charles Tourism Directed Festival and talked with KMOX. She says changing the city's tourism has many implications. Mayor Dan Borgmeyer wants to revamp the tourism department, something that he floated back in August.
One of the things that is working the best in St. Charles is the festivals that are sort of the specialty or signature festivals that are put together by the CVB and the tourism department. And specifically, there are two individuals who oversee the majority of those events, and removing them will change everything about the festival in that they're the ones that sort of understand the secret recipe to make it work so very well. And so if we were to lose that leadership, a good number of cast and crew would choose to walk away as well, which in the first season probably would not impact attendance and therefore the merchants as much. But I think as people start to realize that something's not quite the same, in subsequent years, it would directly impact the merchants because we're going to see a decline in the number of people choosing to come to the festivals, specifically for the festivals.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
So many people showed up at Forrestal City Hall last night to hear more about two proposed data centers that representatives expected to speak couldn't get into the room. Those who managed to squeeze in were told the presentation was being delayed until January 20th and moved to a bigger venue. City Administrator Todd Stryler told the Post-Dispatch they had no idea they'd have that big of a crowd. Two out-of-state firms have expressed interest in about 400 acres of land along I-70. The developers have not been named. The St. Louis police chief now working a second job to make up lost income. Chief Robert Tracy will serve as the education consultant with UMSL's Department of Criminology and Criminal Justice Center. This comes after the St. Louis Police Foundation announced it could no longer contribute an extra $100,000 to Tracy's salary. If you or someone you know has the sniffles, you're not alone. Flu, COVID, and RSV cases all on the rise in Illinois.
The state's Department of Public Health dashboard shows flu, COVID-19, and RSV cases are all trending higher, with flu activity leading the way at a very high level for the week ending December 27th, followed by COVID-19 activity at a moderate level and RSV activity at a low level. Nationally, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates there have been at least 7.5 million illnesses, 81,000 hospitalizations, and 3,100 deaths from the flu so far this season. Mai Martinez.
Is the outlook any different in Missouri? At 8:30, I'll talk with a state epidemiologist with the Missouri Department of Health to find out. The Trump administration has taken the unprecedented step of dropping the number of vaccines the government recommends for every child.
Many health experts are reacting angrily. Dr. Jason Goldman is president of the American College of Physicians.
I suspect this is going to have generational impact on the children and health of our country because we are going to see a resurgence of diseases that we haven't had to deal with.
The overhaul is effective immediately, meaning the CDC will now recommend vaccines against 11 diseases, but no longer broadly recommend protection against the flu, rotavirus, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and some forms of meningitis or RSV. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
For the first time since the May 16th tornado, students and staff returned to 3 St. Louis public schools that had been damaged in the storm. Washington Montessori Elementary, Yateman Liddell Middle, and Beaumont Trade Schools reopened. Washington first grade teacher Lindsay Digger said the school felt like a safe oasis from the devastation that still surrounds the Fountain Park neighborhood. According to the Post-Dispatch, repairs are described as short-term. Windows, floors, and roofs, along with plumbing, electrical, and HVAC systems. FEMA estimates about $5.5 million of damage to 11 buildings in the district. From the business desk, sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, no more Schnucks mailers. The grocery chain ending the practice of sending the printed weekly ads through the mail, although they will still be available at store entrances. Schnucks says more customers are shifting to digital communication, and the weekly ad can be accessed on the Schnucks Reward app. Coming up on Total Information AM, you hear those ads for sports wagering. We're going to check in on the first month of legal sports betting in Missouri. That's coming up after traffic and weather in 2 minutes. It's 8:08.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Drury Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Drury Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
This year, it was important for my business to start strong.
Starting weak is not recommended.
But first, I needed a lot of stuff for the office.
Sounds like a shopping spree.
I just went to Staples. They have great prices on everything like ink, toner, printers, paper, and chairs. And now you can get up to 30% off select HP printers.
Up to 30% off HP printers. Am I on a hidden camera show?
No.
Well then, let's go Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. Ins 131, select models only.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Now, the news. At 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
8:10. Let's see how things are moving on the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, we're doing better on westbound 270 for Madison County drivers. We just have a short backup right at 111. We had an incident, I believe it was a crash west of 203 earlier, but just a short jam there, so it's improving pretty quickly, so that's good news. Westbound 70, still some slow stuff at the city limits. Eastbound 70, still a little busy. Earth City, or Blanchette Bridge, rather, into Earth City. Eastbound 64, still kind of slow east of Lindbergh through the Interbelt. Westbound 64, Science Center to Big Bend and Clayton Warson to about Spady, still off the pace. North 270 still has heavy traffic north of 55 through Gravois and north of 44 all the way up to Ladue. Northbound 55 from the Union Road overpass up to about Loughborough, still pretty congested there. Eastbound 44 from the Poplar out onto westbound 70 at Madison. Looks like there may be an incident there. Westbound 70 slow across the Musial Veterans Bridge, and 64 westbound from the 70 split to the Poplar. That's still pretty heavy as well. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A mix of sun and clouds this morning, mostly sunny and pleasant this afternoon. Our high today 60. Tonight will be clear, though 35. Mostly sunny tomorrow. Another nice day, high 59. For Thursday, cloudy with periods of rain. It will become increasingly windy and very mild with a high of 64. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We do have clear skies this morning, 51 degrees in Florissant. It's 49 in St. Peters and 50 degrees downtown at the Arch. You're listening to Total Information AM here on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Sports wagering in Missouri officially launched December 1st, and a month in, I wanted to get an update on how things are going. So with me now is Mike Lira. He is Executive Director of the Missouri Gaming Commission. Mike, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Morning, Megan. Glad to be here.
Well, you helped us out last time. Right before this launched, we talked about how this all is structured. So before we get into how things have gone the first month, can you explain briefly for our listeners who may not have dived in yet how sports betting works in Missouri?
So there are a total of six sports wagering platforms that are in the state of Missouri, and some of them are tethered to casinos, and two of them are freestanding, untethered on their own. And you are able to open an account with any of them and place bets either from your computer or from your telephone online. So pretty much that's about the only restrictions there are. Everything is up and running well and have relatively no hiccups.
What level of interest have you seen so far? Have you been able to gauge that?
Yeah, so based on GeoComply is a supplier to the industry, helps with the geofencing to make sure that you're betting within the state of Missouri. They have reported to us that in the first week alone, 520,000 active accounts. That's an incredible number. And a total of about 18.5 million geolocation checks statewide. That means the number of times people logged into their accounts. But so it has been very well received by the people of the state.
When you talk about that geofencing, explain for our listeners how that works.
So GeoComply is one of the two companies that provides geofencing services in the state of Missouri. And they ensure that if you're placing a bet within the state of Missouri, that it is done in the state of Missouri and the state of Missouri gets the revenue from that. So they use a multitude of different sources. They look at IP addresses and a number of other things. It's a complicated process, but it works quite well, and they can narrow it down to within a few feet. And that's what happened leading up to this, prior to Missouri enacting this, that people would cross the state line, and literally as soon as you cross the state line, you were able to place a bet from another state. So this ensures that compliance with Missouri law and taxing occurs properly.
When we talk about that 520,000 accounts that they have measured at this point, do we know how that compares, for example, with other states when they first launched sports wagering?
Well, we've looked at other states. It was pretty robust by our opinion. We didn't expect that many, but I think when Kansas launched a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I don't think it was that strong of an opening day, let's say. But 520,000 in the first week. We don't know what that number is now. We've asked for some updated numbers to kind of gauge what the first month provided, but it was estimated that there were $73 million wagered in the first week alone. And since then, we don't have any updated numbers that will come later this month.
When you look at an estimate like that, so again, how does that compare maybe to some openings for other states?
Well, I think it suggests that this is a very robust industry. I think it is not mature, and it appears that sports wagering is outpacing the casino growth, especially the growth of the casino industry has been right around the inflation level, roughly 3% growth within the state of Missouri. But if other states are looking at this, it probably suggests that there's a lot of room for growth here.
Any idea right now what sports and events people may be betting on in Missouri?
Practically anything. Professional sports, college sports, basketball, football, baseball, who's going to win the Super Bowl. And then, we have March Madness coming up is going to be so focused on basketball. So it's, there's some seasonality to it, but pretty much it's across the board. We don't have all of that data yet. So once all of the operators report from the mobile licenses, we're going to have some real good numbers probably towards the end of the month to kind of gauge where most of the interest lies and where the largest are the most amount of revenue is coming.
I know I asked you this before, but as we've seen in some other areas of the country, there have been accusations of bet rigging. What safeguards are in place in Missouri to monitor for that?
There are monitoring services that are required by the operators to have in place. And they monitor all sorts of different criteria in the sports wagering. If late bets come in extraordinary numbers and in any certain unforeseen type of bet. So there is critical monitoring of the sports wagering. And, it is in the best interest of the operators also to monitor that. So as we get into this over the next several months and this year, we will probably fine-tuning some of these things and monitoring it very closely.
Mike, what about for people who might be placing wagers? What safeguards are in place for them if they find that they may be going overboard on this?
So part of the legislation that became a constitutional amendment did require a large amount of money, actually the greater of 10% or $5 million of the tax revenue that comes to the state to go into compulsive gamblers fund. That is a lot of money compared to what we had over the casinos for the past 30 years. There have been roughly about $200,000 authorized, but I think only one time in all those years that that level was accessed. It's usually very little that is accessed. Now, with sports wagering being statewide, we do expect that number to grow, but you can opt out. You can put yourself on an exclusion list on a temporary basis or a permanent basis. And we would expect that list to grow also with now people nowhere near a casino able to play sports wagering.
Well, Mike, we will check in with you later in the month and see what some of the numbers look like again.
Yeah, we look forward to that, anticipating what these numbers come in for the whole month, and feel free to reach out.
Fantastic. Really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
That is Mike Lira. He's executive director of the Missouri Gaming Commission, joining us here on Total Information AM. And still ahead, lawmakers return to Jefferson City this week. Missouri Net News director Elisa Nelson will tell us what's on the agenda coming up. First, though, we need to get you a check of the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
But we're doing better on westbound 270, Megan. Just kind of slow approaching the Chain Rocks Bridge. The earlier jam we had between 255 and 203 is gone, so that's good news. Not much left. Westbound 70, still some slow traffic. Well, first of all, coming out from downtown, eastbound 44 onto westbound 70 out to Madison is slow, and then Riverview out through Jennings Station is kind of crowded. Eastbound 64, Mason into 270s busy. East of Lindbergh into about Big Bend. Westbound 64, Science Center to Hanley's kind of busy. Northbound 270, a backup briefly at 44. Then it's just slow all the way up to Ladue, but the southbound side through there looks good. A few slowdowns on 44. There's a crash before 109. They have the right lane blocked. It's a little slow there. It's slow east of Elm to Leclerc Station and Jamison through the southwest area. Northbound 55, north of Bayless up to River to Pears, busy downtown. Westbound 64 from 3rd Street to the Poplar, that's still slow. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Looks like we'll have sunny skies. It'll be a pleasant afternoon. Expect a high of 60. Right now, we've got sunshine, 50 degrees downtown at the Arch.
It's Tom Ackerman. I've known Jim Brennan, the president of McKelvey Homes, for years. They always do it the right way. And the reserve at Wildwood is proving again with incredible home sites moving faster than expected. If you're thinking Wildwood, don't wait. Go to McKelveyHomes.com right now. McKelvey Homes. They've been building trust in St. Louis for over a century. The Reserve at Wildwood, their latest, a 50-acre development with walking trails, incredible home sites. They're selling quickly, and when Jim builds it, you know it's done right. McKelveyHomes.com. Move up to McKelvey. Park-like settings, walking trails, top-rated schools, minutes from Wildwood Town Center. McKelvey Homes, now selling the Reserve at Wildwood. Again, go to McKelveyHomes.com before they're gone. 1898 is when McKelvey Homes was founded. Missouri's oldest home builder. Move up to McKelvey.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers,
If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This holiday season, when you get them Steel, batteries are included. Buy select battery tool sets and get a free extra battery. Visit SteelUSA.com for gift ideas and seasonal savings. Happy holidays from Steel. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
I'm Megan Lynch. Thanks for joining me this morning for Total Information AM here on KMOX. A new session of the Missouri legislature opens this Wednesday. It's an election year, and that could impact what gets done in Jefferson City. Joining me now, Elisa Nelson, news director for Missouri Net. Thank you so much for being with me this morning.
You bet. No problem, Megan.
Have you seen anything interesting so far in some of the pre-filed bills?
Oh, yeah. There are some real off ones that, I don't know that they're going to get any hearing time. But there are some that are really interesting that could get some hearing time and maybe even move forward. I think the main ones that people should really pay attention to are the income tax cut proposals. I think Republicans, since they have this super majority, they're going to try and get something on income tax cuts this year. I think a lot of the time is going to be spent on the state budget because that's the one responsibility that the legislature has is to pass a state budget. And so they've got to get that done. And it's going to be a tight budget year, I think, for the next couple of years at least. So there's going to be some real picking and choosing and not so much some pet projects this time around, I think. And I also think people should watch and see if there's going to be a child care tax credit package that might move through the legislature to try and expand access to child care in the state because it's tough right now for people who are trying to access child care. So I really think those are the 3 probably top things that folks need to pay attention to.
When it comes to the budget and the state's cash flow, what's the picture right now? You mentioned it's going to be tight.
Yeah, we still have money in reserves, but that money is going to deplete very quickly, and it has over the past couple of years. And that's because a lot of that is federal money from the pandemic. And so we have to spend that money by a certain time. We're going to be penny pinching, I think, over the next couple of years at the very least. And it's going to be really different because we're not going to have all of that federal money. So we might have $5 or $6 billion in the bank right now, but if we spend the way that we're spending the last couple of years, those reserves are going to run out.
Elisa, thank you so much. Really appreciate the preview.
You bet. No problem.
That is Elisa Nelson with Missouri Net joining us this morning here on KMOX. Coming up, do you feel like so many people that you know are sick with the flu? We're going to get the actual numbers from the state coming up next. It's now 8:27. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
KMOX celebrating 100 years. Presented by Purina. Your pet, our passion. Now, a KMOX pioneer.
For nearly 4 decades, no one shaped KMOX more than Robert Hyland. When he took over as general manager, Hyland transformed KMOX into the nation's first major all-talk radio station with At Your Service.
I think it's been a vehicle, it's been a forum for people, and it's brought people closer. That's what we're trying to do, air the views so we can put them out on the table and then dissect them and talk about them among ourselves and also with the experts and so-called experts on at your service.
He built KMOX into the sports voice of St. Louis, securing partnerships with the Cardinals, Blues, Football Cardinals, and Mizzou, and turning the station into a national powerhouse. A tireless leader, Robert Hyland turned KMOX into what CBS founder William Paley called the jewel in the CBS crown. Robert Hyland, a KMOX pioneer.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it. I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap you can't even go by price. Okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600 or BartInman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
At 8:30, let's head over to the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center, see what the situation is on the roads. Here's Roger Brand.
Well, Megan, they've got a report of a crash northbound 270 north of Gravel. They just dispatched a bunch of emergency crews to it. I can't see it right now. I can see traffic at Gravel and midway up to 44, and it's all moving fine through there. So it may be closer to 44 on North 270, but it even looks good there. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what develops at that point. But as far as North 270 goes, you do have slow traffic northbound 270 running through that area is fine, like I said. But north of there, it's still busy north of 44 all the way to Ladue, eastbound 64, east of Lindbergh into Big Bend's heavy, westbound 64 Science Center, all the way to about Hanley is still slow. Northbound 55, a little busy. North of Bayless up to River to Pear downtown, westbound 64 west of 3rd Street to Poplar, and westbound 70 that still has slow traffic. Let's call it like Kings Highway out almost to Lucas Hunt. We had an earlier stall near Jennings Station. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thank you, Roger. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it looks like we are going to have sunny skies today. It's going to be a pleasant afternoon with a high around 60. Clear skies tonight with an overnight low of 35. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, a nice day, a high around 59. For Thursday, we may see some rain sneak in. It's going to be windy, a high of 64. Right now, we do have sunshine this morning, 51 degrees in Florissant, 49 in St. Peter's, 50 degrees downtown at the Arch.
For 100 years, KMOX has been the voice of St. Louis, informing, entertaining, and connecting our community. Now, relive a century of service at KMOX100.com, a website that allows you to explore classic KMOX audio, rare photos and video, and the legendary voices that shaped St. Louis. Every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat lives on at KMOX100.com.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
With the holidays being a popular time for gatherings, as expected cases of flu, COVID, and RSV all on the rise in Illinois.
The state's Department of Public Health dashboard shows for the week ending December 27th, flu activity was at a very high level, while COVID activity was moderate and RSV activity was low, but all three were trending higher. IDPH reports 8.2% of ER visits were due to the flu, and about 30% of hospital admissions for acute respiratory cases were children between the ages of 5 and 17. According to IDPH, only 1 in 5 people in the state got a flu shot, and only 5% got the updated COVID-19 vaccine. Mai Martinez.
And it looks like when we look at Missouri numbers, influenza-like illness and activity for that same week in Missouri was very high. The numbers for emergency room visits were up 11%. And when it comes to the laboratory data, positive results were 22% higher than the average rate. Looks like influenza A cases far outpacing influenza B cases in the state of Missouri. It's now 8:34.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Oil stocks jumped yesterday after President Trump pledged to revive the Venezuelan energy sector. Shares of Chevron, which is the only American oil major currently operating in the nation, surged more than 5%. ConocoPhillips and Exxon also rose. Energy, along with tech shares, gave a big bump to the market yesterday. The Dow rose 595 points. This morning, it's a little quieter. Stock futures are making small moves this Tuesday. Philippine fast food chain Jollibee is expanding quickly around the world and taking aim at rivals, including McDonald's. The company plans to spin off its international business and list its shares on a U.S. stock exchange. The Jollibee chain is known for its sweet-style spaghetti and crispy fried chicken. And Amazon says this past season of Thursday Night Football was the most watched ever in the 20-year history of the program. The 2025 season averaged 15.3 million viewers each game. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
And your money report is sponsored by Eamon Gattner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
Leave all the 2025 dirt and celebrate the new year with our friends from Zero Res. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, hard surfaces, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, so it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Zero Res has a 4.9 rating on Google, bringing in the new year with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 plus a free hallway. Take 15% off regularly priced services when you mention the KMOX special 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Missouri baby boomers. The Give 5 program wants to connect you with volunteer opportunities that fit your skills and passions. Learn how you can lend a helping hand and bring positive change to those who need it most in just 5 hours a month. Signing up is easy. Just attend our next free class in your local community. Visit our website at MissouriGive5.org to find a class near you. Brought to you by Missouri Area Agencies on Aging.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code RAIN to get up to a $5 per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code RAIN to get up to a $5 per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code RAIN.
Hey, it's Brian Balding here. At the Home Depot, Makita tools are built for the pros who show up early, who don't do shortcuts, only precise cuts, who know the job's only done when it's done right. With tools built to last, job after job, year after year, performance that pays off. When the job calls for the best, call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot. How pros get more done.
Want immediate cash for your home or see what your home is really worth in today's market? Find out for free from the local experts, my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. Check out thegelmanteam.com today. That's thegelmanteam.com.
Nominations for the 2026 Women of Achievement are now open. The St. Louis Area Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. If you know an outstanding volunteer in the St. Louis metropolitan area, or if you are one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 11th. Head to KMOX.com for more information.
This is 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. Shares of major U.S. companies in the energy sector sharply higher after President Donald Trump announced plans to take control of Venezuela's oil industry. The American Medical Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics say they plan to continue recommending a broader list of vaccines for children, even after U.S. health officials narrowed vaccine recommendations from 18 diseases to 11. And no more Schnucks mailers, the grocery chain ending the practice of sending the printed weekly ads through the mail. They will still be available at store entrances. Let's see how things are moving on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they're doing all right, Megan. I never did find that crash they reported north 270, north of Gravois. Things look fine until you get north of 44, and then it remains slow all the way up to Ladue. Eastbound 64, east of Clayton Worson into Big Bend's heavy. South 170 still bogged down at Brentwood. Westbound 64 still bunched up. The Science Center through McCausland, but slow all the way to the Interbelt even after that. Westbound 70, still some heavy traffic. Riverview through Jennings Station. And downtown westbound 64, just a brief slowdown as you get onto the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thanks for listening to Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. A new study from AccuWeather warns of a trend of lower humidity, lower rainfall, and higher overall temperatures. Let's talk about it with AccuWeather climate expert and senior meteorologist Brett Anderson. Brett, thanks for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here, Megan.
Well, first, when we talk about climate, that always brings up a lot of strong feelings. So what can you tell our listeners about the sources that you used for your study?
Well, we looked at our own database, basically an AccuWeather data suite, and we basically looked at 44 officially geographically dispersed weather stations across the entire country. And again, we get a lot of our data from actual observations across these different regions across the country. So it's actual observed data. It's cleaned up a bit to make sure because some of the stations that you get, there's errors, and so you have to clean that up a little bit. But it is all actual data, observed data, not computer generated or anything like that. And so we looked at 44 different regions across the lower 48 states to come up with the answers to this study.
So let's break down each of these things. First off, temperatures. When I looked at kind of the range that you had in this study, it looks pretty similar to other studies I've seen.
Yeah, it's not that surprising. Some of the things that came out of this in terms of temperatures, we've increased about a half a degree Fahrenheit per decade over the past 70 years, a steady increase, biggest increase we've seen certainly over the past 20 years or so. Dew point, which is basically the dew point temperature, is the temperature at which the relative humidity becomes 100% saturated and whatnot. Dew point temperature has increased a little bit per decade over the same period, though. Most of the increase occurred before 1995. It's been fairly steady after that. However, relative humidity remained fairly steady before 1995, throughout that time period. But after 1995, we noticed a decrease in relative humidity, an average relative humidity across the lower 48 states of about 5.3% during that time period, which is quite significant. So when you decrease the relative humidity, you're going to see most likely less rainfall in many areas, and that's what we're seeing. Average rainfall declined about 2.7% since 1995, or about 1% per decade during that. However, that's total average annual rainfall. The big key here is, though, the frequency of big rainfall events, which are greater than 4 inches in a short time period, maybe a day, those increased by 70%. So what we're seeing is less rainfall in general, total over the course of the year, but a big increase in these big rainfall events, these heavy flooding events. We're seeing more of that.
So basically that could trigger, I'm assuming, more problems when we
Yes.
get a whole lot of rain at once.
Yes, we all like to, we want to see normal. Normal is a good thing, but it's hard to get normal. But what we're seeing with this increase in these heavier rainfall amounts is, it's a lot. It's causing obviously flooding, but in areas that need rainfall, when you get these big rainfall events, it's a lot of rain and all that, but a lot of it ends up getting washed away. Just because we obviously over the past 50, 60, 70 years or so, we have much more concrete out there. So a lot of this rain just gets run off, unfortunately. Also, heavy rainfall events cause a lot of erosion. It's not good for fields, crop yields. We like to see things spread out very nicely. So that's a big problem there when we get all the rain coming down at once.
When you look at this, how does this change how you do your modeling for future forecasts?
Yeah. Again, the temperature is a trend. Every model database you look at, temperatures are warming. That's pretty much a given. And obviously, with no change in greenhouse gas emissions, we're going to continue to warm up. That's pretty much well known at this point in time. It's how much are we going to warm up in the future, and that will depend on how much more greenhouse gas emissions we put out into the atmosphere. That's a big deal right there. What's interesting with our study here that we came up here was the decrease in relative humidity since the mid-1990s. And what we looked at was that the mid-1990s, something changed. There was some type of tipping point that we found with temperature, with rainfall, with humidity. Something changed in the mid-1990s across the world and also the United States, that something tipped. And unfortunately, when you reach a tipping point, things start tipping and it's hard to stop. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing an acceleration in temperatures. We're seeing an acceleration of these extreme weather events going on, especially with rainfall. So that's the most interesting part with this study was again, the decrease in relative humidity. And again, the more increase in these heavy rainfall events. The other problem with this is the rain that does fall with higher temperatures, it evaporates more quickly as well. So that's also a bad thing for crop production. So temperatures are warming up. The rain that does fall, it evaporates more quickly. So we like to see things normal and spread out. But again, what's happening is, you can see it's all across the world. We're seeing many more extreme events, especially with rainfall events and flooding.
Now, you mentioned those things. What about, so when we have less humidity and we have quicker evaporation, is that triggering some of the wildfires that we've seen across the country?
Great question. And that's very much true. Again, the much more drier conditions, especially in the western United States. The west has been warming up more quickly than the east, and it's drying out much more quickly. So lower relative humidity out west. Another issue is with the warming planet out west, we're seeing less dieback of devastating of insects, which cause a lot of damage to trees. So the combination of lowering humidity, drier conditions, damage from insects causing to trees and whatnot. So you're seeing more dead, dying trees, and with the lower humidity, the drier conditions, fires that do get started, they're going to be a lot larger, and we're seeing that trend certainly across much of Western Canada and the Western United States. Not necessarily more fires. Actually, we've seen less fires over the past 20 years, but of the fires we're seeing, they're trending much larger over the past 10 to 20 years or so across the United States and Canada. So big devastating fires is the result. And when we have these bigger fires, we're seeing a lot more smoke going all the way into the eastern states, central and eastern states, causing air quality issues.
That is AccuWeather climate expert and senior meteorologist Brett Anderson. Brett, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 877-WINDOWS. That's 877-WINDOWS. Or head to rbastl.com.
This is Total Information AM on 104.1 FM KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Today is Tuesday, January 6th. Some people call it Divorce Day. That's due to what some family law firms say is a noticeable spike in divorce filings right after the new year. I wanted to see if there's any truth to it. With me now, Lisa Moore, attorney with Paul, Kamazine, and Blumenthal. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me this morning here on KMOX.
Good morning, Megan. Thank you very much.
Do you, in fact, see a spike in clients seeking divorces this time of year?
I think that for most family law attorneys, they definitely see a difference in the patterns in December and January. Honestly, I've never actually heard of the term divorce holiday, but you absolutely will see changes in the patterns both December and January. And, you know, those patterns are based on practical reasons as well as emotional reasons, and along with some legal strategies. So, you know, whether or not you're filing in December or January, there are things that people are thinking about and that are a little bit different for December and January than any other month of the year.
Can you explain some of those reasons that people might give?
Absolutely. In December, as we all know, it's an incredibly busy month. Everyone has a lot of family commitments, shopping, wrapping, decorating houses, and there's a lot of document gathering. There's a lot of financial information. It's a very emotional and stressful process for some to get ready to file, and adding that on top of what is already a stressful month for many people and many families. In addition, many people have year-end work commitments, and so again, having the time, the emotional bandwidth to get all of that information together may be a reason that they decide, I'm going to put this on hold and do this in January. There's also emotional reasons, especially if you have kiddos. I think for a lot of parents, they feel that they don't want to tell their kids during the holidays. They want to let them have one last normal Christmas. Kids are home from school a lot in late November and December, adding to all of the commitments again that parents have, chauffeuring and activities, and you're kind of living in a fishbowl. So having that dynamic of filing in December over your head while all of that is going on, I think is one of the factors that a lot of people think about, and holding off until January, which makes January then a month that you might see more people filing.
Lisa, what do you think people need to consider if they do feel that the new year is the time for a divorce? How much deliberation do they need to give this decision?
On average, statistically, most people have considered or have been thinking about filing divorce for 2 to 3 years before they actually get to the moment where they are ready to file. So it is not a decision that most people come to lightly. It's not a decision that they just thought about in November and how are they going to get filed in December, and so it's taking a little bit longer. It is a process, and things that strategically, there are some legal reasons why some people may wait until January to file and or even wait until January to conclude. I think statistically, we see a lot of the numbers, how many divorces are in January, because many people will wait to conclude their divorce in January to take advantage of the tax benefits of filing married jointly in the new year. Your filing status for your tax returns are based on your marital status on December 31st of each year. So if you're still married on December 31st, you then can file jointly in April and have the benefit of that full year, versus if you go ahead and conclude in December. So the numbers for how many divorces are actually entered are typically higher in January.
Is Missouri a no-fault state when it comes to divorce?
Missouri is a no-fault state. What that really means, though, is that it doesn't require a reason why I want a divorce. It does not mean that the court does not consider misconduct, which actually is part of the statute in Missouri, that the court is required to consider misconduct. However, it's fairly, as far as how much weight the court gives to misconduct, is very factually determined. So no fault just simply means if you plead, my marriage is irretrievably broken and there's no possibility of reconciliation, the likelihood you will be granted a divorce, even if the other side doesn't want one.
Give our listeners a realistic view of how long it can actually take to work through a divorce proceeding.
We are seeing a great number of cases being resolved by mediation, especially in St. Louis County, as well as other jurisdictions. There have been local rules that have been added, which require parties to engage in mediation, where before it was a voluntary choice. And we are seeing many, many cases being resolved by mediation within the earlier months of a case. Where in the past, I would tell most people the average is 9 months to conclude a divorce. If you can get everybody into mediation within the first 30, 60 days, you can have some cases done much quicker. Obviously, if it's a high asset case and there are lots of assets that need to be valued and there are mental health and abuse and or drugs or alcohol addiction issues, sex addiction issues, and we're looking at mental health evaluations, then those cases generally take much longer, and you could be looking at a year, if not more.
Lisa, thank you so much for the insight. Really appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome.
That is Lisa Moore, attorney with Paul, Kamazine, and Blumenthal, joining us this morning here on KMOX.
If you've got outstanding student loans, garnishments could start happening for some this month. We will talk about that. Also, hey, it's the new year, so how do you get your finances right? We're going to talk to a financial expert about that as well. It is the Chris and Amy Show coming up right after the news on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money, sponsored by University of Maryland Global Campus.
Don't forget your finances when you make your list